Welcome, everyone, to our latest episode of The Testing Room, where three of the gaming industry's best video game consultants who have never actually consulted on a video game bring you new topics each and every week. I'm Alex, and today I look like a bum. Oh, no.
Yeah,
dropping shit. Dropping stuff. Yeah, sorry.
Now you look like a bum.
Okay, first of all, everybody, I apologize in advance. I was late coming here tonight. And because of that, I am just, I'm a mess. I'm a mess tonight.
They didn't need to know that. There was no one wiser.
You'll hear the bang, though. I'm dropping shit. It's just a night. So, where's that?
Well,
it's okay.
Anyway.
Super professional.
I'm Christian, a.k.a. Sudovoodoo45.
I'm Preston, a.k.a. Funkadelic Jedi.
Well, nice. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully... I'm not going to make any promises. I'm not going to say it's going to be like smooth sailing from here on out. But fingers crossed. We'll see.
We'll see.
Maybe I'll survive tonight. Let
it
rip.
Fix it in post, baby. It's all right.
F it. Let's do it live. Anyway, so how have you boys been? It hasn't been that long, I feel like, since we recorded last.
It's been about a week. It's been exactly a week.
Has
actually.
it?
Yeah, it actually has, yeah.
Tuesday is when we last did it, so, yeah.
Okay. And for some reason, it doesn't feel that long. But
we've been chit-chatting a lot.
Did we play? We've been chit-chatting a lot. Yeah, I think that's what it was. So,
I mean, we usually, but yeah.
I'm happy to report. Actually, I'll say this for my week. Never mind. I made some comments last week that I'm supposed to walk back.
Yeah,
and,
with a gun
maybe
pointed
we can do
at you that you need to walk back.
Yeah, maybe we can do that in the comment corner.
Sure.
But speaking of that, Preston, why don't we see what do we got for the comment corner?
We haven't too much. Travis did toss a trailer in our Discord, so if you want to talk about that, we can. Just gotta give your quick thoughts on the Fallout show coming to Amazon.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
How it looks to you? How you feel about it?
They nailed. So I think the look looks good, right? Like everything looks right.
Sure.
Similar to the Lord of the Rings one, everything looked right, but it's just all going to be. It's going to come down to the writing and what it does. Because I think. I don't know. I don't even know what you do for a Fallout thing, right? Like, what's the...
You have a new story in the world of... Yeah.
The problem that I have...
Not including
or that I foresee...
in the games.
Is that every main story for Fallout and Elder Scrolls, but across all of them, have been bad. The things that you remember from those games... is all of the random little side quests that were really good that stuck out with you, right? So, like, for instance, like Oblivion and Skyrim both is always the people talk about the Dark Brotherhood one, right? Like, that's the number one with a bullet. Usually people, when that quest pops off, everyone's like, oh shit, blah, blah, blah. There's plenty of other ones, right? They're like, Fallout, obviously the famous one for Fallout 3 is Nuketown, right? Like, you come into that town, do the whole thing, and then one where it either explodes or doesn't, blah, blah, blah. But, like, those are the moments that stand out from that game, but it has nothing to do with the main narrative ever, right? So, like, you'd have to... I think the best way to do this show, in my opinion, would be to do it like the story of the week thing, like with like how Mandalorian does it, right? And just adventure of the week, and it's just like, hey, here are the characters, and, like... They have this sort of general overarching plot that's like fine, but really what is just like, hey, what hijinks are they getting up to this week? It's the same thing with like Cowboy Bebop and stuff, right? That being said, are they going to do that? I doubt it. I don't think. But
they didn't do too bad with Lord of the Rings, so I'm not too worried about it. But it looks good.
They did fine. Yeah, they did fine with Lord of the Rings, but we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm torn on it too, and I think my problem is like. I couldn't get a grasp of what tone they were going for in the show. Like, you have that one part with Walter Goggins, who is the undead guy, right? The guy that's been the mutant that's been out in the radiation. Yeah. He's like a gunslinger, and he's out like shooting people, and you're like at first, okay, it has kind of an actiony, like serious tone, and then they follow that up immediately with like the next cut. Where the main character, the female protagonist, it seems like she's like in an office with like Will Parnell. And he is, of course, one of the Cyclopses, and he, like, sneezes in his coffee or something. Or maybe he takes a drink and it's, like, bad coffee. He's like, oh, wrong one. Yeah, so it has this weird, like, humorous tone, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I can't get what you're gonna strike with that, and I don't know, maybe the show won't take itself too seriously, and that'll be a good thing. But if you're gonna have problems striking with tone, like I don't want to do this whiplash of like we're trying to be serious, but also like, there's goofiness to it. Because what you get with that is the shit that was Twisted Metal.
I was gonna say, like, it kind of sounds like Twisted Metal you're talking about right now.
Yeah, it does, which is not good. It's not a promising thing if that's what you go for. So we'll see. I mean, I have Amazon. They do well with The Lord of the Rings was good. The Wheel of Time, to me, who has never watched The Wheel of Time, I like it, but I know a lot of people don't. So it seems like if you like the source material for any of these things, you might have a problem with this show, right? Which I don't know how that bodes for.
Unless it's
like
The
us.
Boys.
Yeah, but honestly, I like The Boys a lot, but I was thinking about it the other day, and The Boys is starting to get to the point with me like Grand Theft Auto got to, where it's getting, like, every season they want to up themselves and, like, one-up themselves, and it's getting so over-the-top gratuitous sometimes, where I'm just like, this is even, like, hard to watch.
I was watching Genevieve, and I'm like, meh.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think relying on, like, gore and, like, ultra-violent and, like, all that other stuff...
Yeah.
It doesn't, and like the shock value that comes with it, and then all in the name of like, oh, this is more adult now. It's like that you can only go to that well so many times before people are like, okay, like even people who enjoy it are like when they're finally like, yes, something adult. It shows somebody's head getting ripped off or whatever, and then but if you keep upping that ante over and over again, even those people end up finally being like, okay, I'm done now. Like you need to do something else, and it's Yeah.
The other fear that I have with this trailer is I know the show's been in the works for a while, right? But we also know how Hollywood works, where like one person has a script and they're going to sell
scrapped,
it, and then
changed.
but then like everybody else wants to hop on the bandwagon, right? And like The Last of Us was done really, really well and has really good acting, and is Amazon, and this is where I don't have faith in Amazon. Is Amazon going to take this game adaptation as seriously as HBO took The Last of Us? And if the answer is no, then it's not going to be that good.
I think you can just look at Amazon's track record and you can just say no.
Right, that's what I mean. Like, that's where I don't have faith in Amazon.
Yeah.
Right, so we'll see.
I mean, even for the Lord of the Rings show, they had to... They put themselves in this weird, nebulous appendices timeline so that they could have the ability to be sort of loose with the facts anyway. But that's because I think even they probably knew we don't have the ability to treat something correctly. So let's just put ourselves in a position where it doesn't necessarily matter.
I think you're right. I think a good way to handle it would be like the hijinks of the week. And if you do, then you can flip-flop your tone. You can go super serious. You can go kind of goofy, right?
Yeah,
like
serious episode,
you can do that.
Goofy episodes. Yeah.
That would be a good idea. But we'll see. We'll see if that's what they choose to do. Again, I don't have a lot of faith in Amazon. Sometimes they surprise me. So I want it to be good, but I don't know.
You give it a second.
Yeah,
you'll get an episode. As long as it doesn't sound like it's horrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out, for sure. Wow.
Other than that, no other comments other than the one that you might want to bring up.
Yeah. So I'll say this one, and then I have a comment for everybody.
Sure.
So I was asked to walk back my statement from last week, which I don't remember exactly what I said beyond like Jake doesn't want to play. I'm not good enough for Jake to play with me, even when I'm online.
That was most of the gist of it.
Yeah. Most of the gist of it was even when I'm online, he probably sees me and goes away and like hides to not play Halo with me because I'm that bad. In fact, I even joked with him this morning. Like I hopped on, I saw his name pop up on Steam, so I was like, oh, maybe he's on. Let me check, and it said he wasn't on. For some reason, I was like, he must have saw me and hid or left. Not really. He must have left right when I got on. So I joked with him. I was like, of course, I hop on, he leaves. He's like, no, I'm still on. So he did invite me, and we played. I met his dad, and his dad is very nice and very welcoming and funny and curses, which made everybody, like, relaxed and easy gamer.
So, like father, like son.
Yeah. Also... I don't know if this is an intended consequence or result. Sorry if you hear my dog back here playing. Just keeping herself occupied. But Jake is, though you could tell he gets irritated at some of the things that happen in the game, is much more calm playing with his dad than he was with us the other night. Could be because it was early in the morning. Could be just because he's not raging and just having some good fun with his dad. But it was good. We lost the first couple, and then we won the last 2 or 3. It was good stuff. I
don't know. So those are good theories. I think Jake should text us and let us know whether or not we can all guess. My personal guess would be that his dad likes the game, or not even just likes the game, but is probably closer in the opinion of most of the Halo community. Mm-hmm. And so as to not go too hard, Jake dials it back a little bit. And then when he gets on with us, he's like, oh, I can let all of my hatred flow out from
I can let loose.
Yeah, because it's a safe space.
I got this hate in my heart. I'll let it out. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I got this hate in my heart. Yeah. The other thing I will say is that I was hoping what you would do instead of walking back is pull the Conor McGregor, where you're like, I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize to absolutely fucking nobody.
No, it was good. We had a lot of fun. I did pretty good. I was in the top half of the team a couple of games. One of the games I even led the team, or if I wasn't legitimately the team, this isn't a dig. Please don't take this as a dig, Jake. But I was good enough to be above Jake. And the only reason I bring that up is because Jake is very good. He wasn't having a bad game, but I was still like one above, right? So like I was playing pretty well. It was Fiesta, which was, fine. And we weren't like ranked or anything. So I have a feeling because his dad was playing and he was playing, maybe those like dichotomies in rank kind of even us out and put us in games of like my level,
possibly,
right?
Yeah.
So it was good. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. So I walked that back. It was perfect timing because right after we played, he texted me. He's like, "Oh, I'm just listening to your episode. You can go F yourself for saying I won't play with you." So yeah, that was good. The comment I had though is, "Holy shit, dog!" is more about a movie that we all watched this week.
Yeah.
And we all went to see separately, obviously. I did not fly to Milwaukee to see this.
As much as we love that. Yeah.
That would be incredible. It's an expensive plane ride.
Yes.
We all went to see Godzilla -1, and I thought it was a very good movie. I really liked it.
It's incredible.
Yep.
I have one, not critique, I have one, like, I wish this would have been different, and it's the most benign thing on the planet. And I'll share that with you in a minute, but I just want to know your opinions. Like, what do you guys think?
You have to come down on that one too? Because A, you're frozen on Discord, and I didn't hear half the things you said.
Really? Did I?
Yep.
I froze?
Yeah,
you were perfect. You were perfect all the way up until just that moment.
You melted.
Which part?
What did
you?
The entire question.
When you were like, I'll talk about that later, but first my question is, and then it was like blur, 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 blur. You just melted.
I just asked. What were your thoughts on the film? What'd you guys think? What'd you like?
I loved it.
Phenomenal.
Loved it. I don't know. Do we want to do like spoilers and like put like a little spoiler warning up? Because or do we want to be vague?
I say given that we've all seen it and we're not a movie podcast, I say sure.
Put up spoilers. I will have notes in the comments down below. I will give you the timestamp. I'll even have like something. I'll have spoilers written across the screen. So that way, if you don't even want to look at timestamps, just scroll through the video, put us on mute, and do it to there. Otherwise, I will come in audio form and tell you on the podcast. We'll take care of it.
If you're watching this, by the way, on YouTube, you may see me go off camera for a second and come back. That's just me getting the toy that's currently stuck under the couch for this turn, and I just don't want you guys to see me. I just don't want you guys to see me in my my penguin pajamas. That's it. So don't mind me. I'm still here.
Let those things fly. Anyway.
No.
Spoiler warning for Godzilla -1 for 17 minutes and 30 seconds. Giving you some time to pull over, press pause, do whatever you gotta do to not be spoiled. And we'll be starting those spoilers for 17 minutes and 30 seconds in 3, 2, 1, start.
So my personal I loved it. I thought the movie was fantastic. Yeah. I think the best part about it is it was sort of Preston. We had talked about this right when we got out of the theater, but it's the tone of the movie. It's the way Godzilla is portrayed in this movie that I think makes it work so well. So in Shin Godzilla, for those who don't know, it's like, and I won't spoil anything about the movie, but it's just Godzilla is more of like an ambivalent sort of like force of nature in that movie. Like the only Godzilla is very reactive in that movie. He is not like proactive. Like he doesn't. He's just there, and then things happen. And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, if you guys are gonna fuck with me, then whatever, right?" And then bada bing, bada boom, things happen. The legendary one is obviously the classic sort of anti-hero where Godzilla is not like actively, like he's not like
just happens that he's big and accidentally takes down cities.
But like if he crashes into a building, it's not his fault. It's just like he. But
and then he
not
quickly has to save the rest of humanity, so they're okay with the destruction.
Yeah,
exactly. Right. This is shot like Godzilla is fucking mean in this one, dude. Like they shoot him in a way that he's like, no, I hate you. Like I am looking for an excuse to make my way to you to kill you. Period. There's no other like.
He's a monster. Yeah.
If I show up, it's because you've irritated me by your presence, and I will be solving that problem for myself very quickly. Like. It's shot in the same way that like the first 5 minutes remind me of the tone when you first see the T-Rex in the original Jurassic Park, where like the T-Rex is like its whole point is like, I'm here to fuck shit up. That's it. I got no other business except to fuck shit up. And so like with Godzilla, it's the same thing. Like he shows up in that first 5 minutes of the film, and everybody gets smoked, and you can see it's not like, oh, I'm doing this to eat you. Like he was like, no, I'm just killing you. Like, and then I'll throw you, and that's it. And I don't give a fuck this is just to stop you from moving. After like it's not like a food thing. It's a just get the fuck out of my way. You're dead. Like it's just purely to kill. And like you even see it. There's the scene later in the movie when he's going through Ginza, and he like literally reaches in and like grabs part of the building and like pushes it out of his, just to be like, this was the tallest building that I could see, and I'm here to smash, like I'm just here to smash it. That's it. And then like the news building, when he's sitting there, he like sees it behind him, and so then he like takes a second, like curls up his tail and is like wham, and just like whaps it, like just to be like, and you take another one just for the road real quick. Like I think it's shot perfectly in that regard. Like, I love the way they went for a different tone for it. I thought the ending stinger of him, sort of like reforming at the bottom of the lake or whatever, or at the bottom of the trench was really cool. I love his design.
That's my only complaint, wish thing that I wanted them to do differently. They ended with such a good like emotional tone after they clearly defeat Godzilla and do all of this. I think it ended on such a high that it does the story cut. So there's plenty of cuts through the film. So when it goes black, it's no big deal. But it's black for 1 second, comes back, and then they show that stinger. I'm not a big like wait around for end credits thing. I think it's a bunch of horse shit and it gets really annoying. With that being said, in this one instance, I wish they would have done a mid-credit scene to let that moment at the end breathe. Like, they needed that, like, this is breathing and this is the emotional piece of it, and then boom, stinger. But the way they did it, it was like emotional stinger, and it was too quick, right? Like, that's my only thing.
The reason that I'm okay with it is because it's not a stinger in the traditional, like, oh, here's the sequel, is because they're treating Godzilla, it's like, it's directly correlated to the nukes going off, right? So like -1, the title is because they're saying the nuke basically reset Japan to 0, and Godzilla is putting the country into the minus. Like it's like that's what they were going for with the title. So then,
well, thank you for that, because I told Jake today I thought the movie was great, but I have been opining on this thing since last night, trying to figure out where the -1 tie-in was.
So since we're spoiling it, I was going to say there was -1 monster because they took off the head, but I didn't. I guess I like Christian's version better.
Well, it's what it is, but it's so they're taking it, and they show two things because they're treating him and Godzilla has always been like Shin Godzilla is another example of this, but Godzilla has always been sort of not always in a lot of the early films, the ones that he's not an anti-hero in. Godzilla has always been an allegory for the nukes, right? Like it's just like Japan just been a thing that they've talked about. Like so there's two things that they do to show what happened as far as like the after effects of the nuke, right? Because obviously Japan had to deal with a lot of the radiation fallout and everything that happened after those went off. So that's the two things they show. It's one, Godzilla reforming as a sort of nod to like your problems aren't over, like they're still there. But then also the end where it looks like the poison or like it's supposed to be radiation poisoning, but it's like Godzilla's like essence or whatever that's showing up the neck of that's the second one. So both of those things together are supposed to be like a metaphor for the after effects of the nuke, or in this case Godzilla, like lingering for the country that is gonna have to deal with them still. It doesn't even necessarily mean that there will be a sequel. It's just that like it's just an extra push to be like, this is what, like, these are the problems that this society is still going to have to deal with even after that. That being said, I really dug his design too.
The classic, like, it was clearly modeled after like a classic.
The dead eyes were there.
Yeah, it was the classic Toho design, but mixed with the best parts of the legendary one as well. They really, really fucking nailed it. Like, and this is coming from, I really liked Shin Godzilla's design, especially like, when his mouth splits out to be like this crazy alien fucking horror thing. I thought it was cool as hell, right? But I think this design is even better. Like, I love
something
the way
about
that
the like rounded head, and Preston, as you said, like the dead eyes, just looks. It's menacing.
It's a nice marriage of the two, and I think there's that scene. One of my favorite scene, or one of them in the movie, is early on when they're fighting him at first, and Preston, to your point, it's the dead eyes when he's just surfing towards them. And you're just like, dude, this thing just doesn't fucking care. Like, it just wants to kill us, and that's it. And so when they shoot the bomb in its mouth or whatever, and then he shoots it, and then it blasts off half his face, and you see the inside, and then it slowly starts to reform, and like reforms, and he's back. I was like, God damn, dude! Like, it's so well done. I literally, I thought it was fantastic. I still haven't really decided where it falls for me. Because up until this point, I think Shin Godzilla was probably my favorite. This is really creeping up to be my favorite, though. Like, it's the more and more I sit with it, like, and it's mostly because a lot of times in Godzilla movies, the human element and then the Godzilla part are usually at odds with each other, and so like sometimes you'll be like, oh, the Godzilla part was really good. For example, the first Legendary movie, right? A lot of people's critique of that movie was the Godzilla part was perfect. The human element was like, meh, it's fine, right? Now, I think the Legendary movies have gotten better as they've went on. And then Shin Godzilla was like both of them, like the human element and the Godzilla part, although separate, were both really good. This one for me was like, they're so intertwined, like they don't work without one and the other, but they're both done so well that it's like that it is nailed. Like I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Well, you Preston.
That was great. Loved it. Love the whole tour. It's like it's kind of like a I think it's like a retelling kind of deal of like the original Godzilla movie. 1 second.
Heat beam.
Yeah, that was me doing my own heat beam. But no, it was a nice little way of kind of going back to that older classic style. I loved the way he did the heat beam. So like it comes off, you see like the coral, looks like coral spikes in the back that kind of pop out a little bit as like the heat's coming through it, and then just the like that last like impactful like goosh, like he does it right at the very end, like it just hits. And the sound in the theater was fantastic. We went to super screen, so we got the Dolby DLX or whatever it is, the Atmos sound. And it was like at first, like, because because Christian's like listening to me. He's like, God, these trailers are kind of quiet. I'm like, yeah, they are kind of quiet, but they'll probably, amp up for like the movie. Movie gets in, like the first thing that happens in the movie is like you're hearing the sounds of like an airplane, like a rotary airplane.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this sounds kind of quiet. I think Christian's right. I think that the sound might be a little bit toned down. And then you start hearing the stomping, and then you hear the roar. I'm like, okay, no, everything else is played off a little bit down because Godzilla's got to be more bombastic when it happens, and it totally fucking nailed it. Every little thing about Godzilla was fantastic. Him just like throwing that fucking boat at the very end is like, oh, we're gonna get ready to ship off the thing. Like, no, he's here already. Oh fuck, he's here already. Like, yep. And then it's just ship just gets tossed onto the bay. I'm like, oh my god. Me and Christian both like, holy shit. But like, dude, like, it was intense.
We were quiet. Like, we didn't. It was only he and I heard it. But like, there was that moment, and they're like, okay, let's get ready, and then they're like, yeah, we've got the speaker or whatever playing the sound, so he thinks it's a rival thing, and then you see the fucking ship fly through. And Preston and I both whispered under our breath. We were like, "Oh shit!" Like it was like, it was so
not
funny.
what I was expecting, but yeah, it's a great movie. It was phenomenal. I think it's definitely probably my favorite. Like I really like the first Legendary movie, but I think this is gonna probably top it because I just feel like the Legendary movies are good. The human parts of it are very American Hollywood, to where it's kind of paint by the numbers. Like, okay, family stuff, sad dad stuff, got it. This one is like, okay, this one's a little bit more touching for me. Maybe it's done a lot over there in Japan, but like I don't see this kind of story very often. To where it's just is very, very well done. I don't think any of it was super cheesy or anything like that. Like the older movie, it was done phenomenally well.
We had a few giggles in the theater during some of the acting, and I would assume that's probably a little bit of just like not understanding
translation.
Yeah.
The localization, right? Like it definitely has that bit of overacting that is just very popular in Japanese culture, right? And very emotional anyway. There was a little bit of giggling too at the end in our theater where he's crying, which I thought was funny because to me that's just like guys in America, like,
our theater was silent.
Like
our theater was silent.
Yeah, ours was.
There was a kid next to us. There was like an old couple next to us. Like
ours was not.
Silence.
It wasn't bad.
It's a good experience.
It wasn't bad, but there were a couple moments where I don't know if maybe people didn't realize it was going to be like dubbed as it should have been and stuff. But I really enjoyed the movie. I love the story stuff just in general of like a kamikaze pilot that chickens out, right? And like how he has to deal with that and the yes.
Is your dog supposed to be tearing up that pillow?
Nope.
Just want to give you a heads up on that one. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like seeing him like that looks like a pillow. I'm like, oh, he's tossing stuffing out of that. I'm like, okay.
Yep. She's irritated that she's stuck in here. So
that's fair.
But I like the kamikaze pilot that chickens out and how everybody like when he comes back thinks he's dishonorable, doesn't like him, and it's all that whole thing of like how many others chickened out if they all would have just done their one simple job. Japan wouldn't be in the situation. Like would have come out ahead.
That situation, yeah.
Like that was really, really good. I loved the Ginza attack for a bunch of reasons. Like one, the shot. The two of my favorite shots in that movie were where he just does the heat beam to Ginza, and it is just like a nuke going off, right? Which was nuts because great. there's a little shock in that one that you do not see.
$10 million budget.
Yeah, and I will say the craziest. I love the marriage that they've done in this design between we're just going to take all the best pieces of everything that's ever been and put it together because there's never. The Legendary movies have nailed this. The charge up for Godzilla's beam where it's like wall. Dude, it's never been it's unbeatable. It will never be beaten. And so when they used it here, I was like, yeah, thank God. Like they nail it. It's so well done. But then Preston, to your point, they add their own extra bit of flair to it, right? So as soon as the spikes go down to his back and then it's just like goosh and it goes off, you don't see it coming, and so when it hits you're just like, oh dude, that's so good.
Just done so well. Like when you see Legendary, it's like, oh, it charges up, it goes, it comes out of him. Like, okay, it's cool. He's very powerful, right? But this one, it's like you get hit with that heat beam. Like that beam goes boom, and you get hit with it. It's fucking really good.
What? I thought it was dope. Like that shock turn when it goes off in Ginza, and like the female protagonist kind of saves like the male and pushes him to the side. Like I did not see that coming. That like she was just gonna get hit and like she's gone, right? Yeah. But I thought the whole attack in Ginza was great because it was clear that there was a big part of that was just an entire homage to the old Godzilla movies, like how the pace he's walking through, the buildings he's hitting, like when he's stomping the people running, like it's all clear. It's like harkening back to the old movies, which I thought was so well done. But like my top shots in this were definitely where he's just like dead eye coming through the water, which looked incredible and did not care. That one, and then when he's under the when he's been like attacked and he's under the first the taco ship, the taco ship. That comes. Dude, the lightning shock that happens real fast and then it just shoots, like the heat beam shoots through, was fantastic. Like it was just an incredibly like CGI'd or whatever, shot that they did. I thought it was great. So
lastly, one of my favorite last shots was like the very beginning when they're there at the I guess it's like an airstrip or whatever. I had a jump scare that very first time that Godzilla showed up right there. Like I jumped, I yelled a little bit, like it fucking got me. And I don't think a Godzilla movie has ever done that to me ever.
Yes, they nailed it.
It was very like Jurassic Park jump scary. Yeah.
And really quick, the last thing that I'll say about Godzilla stuff, because I don't have anything more to say about the -1, but obviously the new trailer for the new
Godzilla
Legendary
X-Kong,
film dropped.
Was it New Empire or something like that?
Something like that. I just want to say, it's very clear Godzilla has heard everybody's fat shaming comments, and he will not have any more of it because he is absolutely jacked in this one.
Yeah, he went in hibernation. Burn off some of that fat.
It is fucking crazy. He slipped at his arms and he has like the shin, like purple energy coming down and all this stuff. He looks cool as fuck. I'm very excited for that movie. I think the problem is going to be, right now, I will say I've been very shocked because a lot of times in the Godzilla like fandom, it's usually like a one or the other. Like people are like, you either like the American ones or you like the Japanese ones and you can't like both, blah, blah, blah. I think most of those people have either died or gotten off the internet or whatever, and so like it's mostly just a lot of positivity where it's like people, we can just like both and have a good time and they're separate and it's fine and blah, blah, blah. I will say it's just going to be, I will be interested to see how that maintains because obviously these two movies are going to be very different in tone. Like, we've talked about -1 at length so far, so it's very clear what that's like, but the Legendary film is very clearly going for like Godzilla and Kong go on an action adventure to beat up a bunch of orangutans. So, like it's
I think it's smart the way they're doing this. So they're taking the people out of it, right? Because we established in the last film that like Hollow Earth theory, there's an Earth inside of an Earth sort of thing. So clearly we're leaving society because they can't take any more after the last fight. We're going down below, which I thought is smart. You can absolutely tell it is King Kong. Now that he's down there, realizes there's already a bigger, angrier orangutan monkey. Which, by the way, why are orangutans and gorillas always at odds, like in animal films? Like, I don't think
it's a great question.
Because they're large
in the same place.
Yeah, they're just large.
But
people.
But clearly, like, there's a monkey that already has a little kingdom or has an area there, and you can tell because there's a part where King Kong like has his axe from the last film. Probably, I hate to say this too, it's so stupid, but I know this was going to happen. Something's going to happen, he's going to get his ass whipped, and he's going to have to get his buddy to come help out, which is what he does. He goes to find Godzilla, him and Godzilla come back down, they're like...
And also, because you're a fucking hater, you need to use his full name, it's Godzilla King of the Monsters, so don't you fucking forget it. Yeah. And I would assume... Not only will he need to get his friend, but he will need to get a mecha gauntlet so that he can...
I assume that has to do with him losing the axe. Like maybe he breaks his arm or something, right? And that's what happens. And they give him like
that's why he has the Infinity Gauntlet.
Gauntlet. Yeah. Which I wonder.
And then he has to call the real muscle to come in and save the day.
I wonder if people on the internet have gotten to the point after not even the last Godzilla film, the one before it, right? Not Godzilla Kong, but the one before that, the King of the Monsters, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? The second,
yeah.
I wonder after that, when you had all the other monsters in there, the portrayal of Mothra and Ghidorah and all that, like, if maybe people went, hey, these are just fun now. Like, maybe that's the feeling. And if that's
a blockbuster.
If that's the case, then I think both these movies can stand on their own 2 feet and be good. If you're going to judge them based on substance,
I think people just...
-1's going to be much better.
Yeah, I think people just have to go into it with the right thing. Like, right, like you're not... It's sort of what we were talking... Like, -1, I think, is a very good film, like, on its own. Like, outside of it being a Godzilla movie, if you just play that movie is a good movie start to finish, right? I think the Legendary films are good Godzilla movies. Like they
Popcorn,
are fun
action blockbusters.
They're very Hollywood, yeah.
Yeah, and they have cool moments the way that you would want the cool moments to happen, and it's honestly it's similar to how the Toho films got back when Godzilla became an anti-hero in those, right? Like he was going, it was because those movies were treated as enemy of the week. It's how Ghidorah came to be. It's how Mecha Godzilla came to be, and Mothra and all of them, right? I mean, they dude, like the amount of kaiju that Godzilla has beaten in some of those old Toho films and in the comics and whatever, there is some real like Marvel DC fucking bottom of the barrel scraping monsters that come out of the woodwork there that you're like, okay,
some lobster crab thing,
a fucking armadillo, you got it, man. Whatever the fuck, I guess, right, and like so that kind of stuff, right? But they were always fun and good movies, and they just had it was this thing, right? So I think that's where the Legendary films are trying to live, which I think is a great place for them to live.
Go for it,
right? Like, I'm here for it. If I get more Godzilla shit, then I'm whatever. So, and it's not being overdone. I don't think those there's like 20 of those fucking Toho films. So like at a certain let's slow our roll. I don't want it to get oversaturated. But right now, just the three, like it's been good. So.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog is destroying my world right now. She's like banging into stuff, literally knocking like every. People are gonna listen and be like, "What is going on with Alex tonight?" And it's my poor animal that is just like running around, banging into stuff and knocking things over on my desk is ridiculous.
There goes the bed.
So
she's trying to rip into the bed now.
I know. I took the cushion away from her, so she can't. Ridiculous. Okay. So I feel bad for her because she was in the crate last night while we went to the movie because Allie also had book club. And then today I went to go play with her before we were recording, but I was late, right? So I was like, crap, I have to run. And it's dark outside. She didn't want to play anyway, but she's just like, I want to play and I want attention and you guys are busy, but also I don't want to be outside, so I'm just going to be a menace. So everybody watching,
I'm going to destroy until people. Yeah,
I apologize. She is reenacting the Godzilla movie. Anyway, so all right, I think that's good with Comment Corner. That kind of leads us into our weeks too. We saw a movie. So what else did we do this week? Who wants to kick things off?
I got a big week.
Yeah,
I do. Christian, you want to go?
Are we going rock paper scissors?
Yeah. Rochambeau. 3, 2, 1, go.
Wow. Okay.
No, not yet. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Get out of here. All right. So
get out of here.
Just so everyone knows, the testing room is now a Steam Deck household. The Christian store had a nice little sale going on for Christmas. So I got one from there.
Christian store? Not to be confused with the Christian Family Bookstore.
Yeah.
Yes.
The Christian Family Bookstore totally sells Steam Decks now. It's great. You just got to pray a little bit and you get a discount. It's awesome. I got that lit last night, so I've been messing with that for the past 24 hours. It's been a lot of fun. I got a lot of intro boot sequences to choose from now. Alex, I currently am using the Disney Plus Star Wars boot sequence to where it does the whole the colors going by the helmets. But the last one's a Steam Deck, and it has the blue lightsaber going in front of that. And then the whole, like, instead of Star Wars, it's Steam Deck. I like that one.
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to find that.
It's very good.
I'll show that to you before I get off. Yeah, we get off here today. I'll show it to you.
Mine's the Love, Death, and Robot. So it starts off and they all spin, and then it ends with like Valve.
I got a bunch of them. Like definitely all like the because it's nice because like it's all like all the themes and like intros for other things, but like everyone remixes it to be a Steam Deck one. It's very nice. But yeah, I've been enjoying it. I got it all loaded up right now. I played a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3 last night with it. It's very nice. Definitely you can see how it runs on the Steam Deck. It definitely tones on the graphics for you. I went through the video you sent me, Christian, of like the better settings to do for now. Yeah. Because each patch, I guess, like it changes it to where like they kind of make it more efficient for the Steam Deck. But yeah, I played through. I did like a little bit of a quest before it died of battery power, and it ran just fine. No hiccups, no problems whatsoever. Played a little bit of Whisker Squadron today. It's very nice. That plays flawlessly. It's very, very good. Looks very pretty on a Steam Deck and works perfectly for that thing.
Even with some, because you can tell, like, you know, they do like it does, but Man, I'm telling you, it is fucking black magic that you can get Baldur's Gate 3 on that thing.
I mean, you can see the graphical thing that tones down, but like I think as far as everything else on top of that, outside of the graphics, yes, it is very surprising.
But that's what I'm saying.
That happens for everything on the Steam Deck.
Even with the graphics being toned, like you look at it and you're like, dude, there's so much going on in the background here. Like, even just the dice rolls and all the computations that go along with those systems in the background, and the Steam Deck just chewing through it.
Yeah, I'm curious to see the further I get through, the more complicated it gets, to see kind of how it performs. So I'm very curious to see that. But yeah, no, I got the Hellboy game and I got the Expanse Telltale series on there right now to go through soon. So I'm very excited to get be using this bad boy a little bit more for sure.
The only thing about the new Steam Deck, I appreciate a lot of the stuff that they did on the new Steam Deck, but the nicest thing that they did out of every change is they gave you like a 2-foot longer power cable.
Yeah.
In the box, which is like, thank you. That's the only thing. Like, I could have even had the same Steam Deck if you would have just given me a slightly longer power cable.
I got a long USB-C cable, so I'll be fine.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, that's good. It's a good, nice little addition to like how I can play games now. Love it. As far as games I've actually been playing, let's start off with the usual. We'll be snapping new season, Hellfire season this month, last season of the year. So we got Sebastian Shaw. He's the new card there. If he gets his power pushed up, he gets 2 extra power on top of that. So anytime you boost his power, he just gets more power on top of that, which he's just getting insane boost of power. I played just a little bit right before here, and it was very nice. This last patch, they did a whole lot to kind of upgrade the game, if you will, because they're all taking a break. So they wanted this to be the last like big patch of the year. So you got automatic deck builder. If you got a new card, you press the automatic deck builder. It uses all the data it's gathered from other people playing the game and brings in a deck of the cards that you have based off of the algorithm and like the data it's brought into. So it does
like the optimized deck for you.
Yes. So I mean, I got the Sebastian Shaw card from the season pass, so I put that in there. I put it in my I started building a deck, put him in there, and put build deck around that. And you can do that. Like I can take him, and I can take like 2 or 3 more other cards, I think, and just hit that button, and it'll do it based off of those cards right there. So it's a very interesting way. It's kind of a nice little, hey, if I just want to pick up and I'm tired of the decks I'm playing, toss a Nihilist, toss whatever I want to, and just build a deck off that one card, see how it goes, see how it plays, it'll be fun.
Let me ask though, because like you're beyond the casual player, right? You
Series 3 complete, yeah, almost all Series 4.
Yeah, and you've been whatever the highest rank is, Infinity rank or whatever. You've
I've been Infinite rank a couple times, yeah.
Infinite rank a couple times. So does that deck builder work for someone like you? Like, is it competitive enough for your level of play?
I built the Shaw one off of it, and I to be fair, when I built the Shaw deck, it was after it reset me in the ranks of Infinite. So I don't know if I was just doing really well because I was in the 50s now and kind of building up. So I'm curious to see if I take that into Conquest, see how well it does. But I mean, you can look at the card, you can look at the deck, and I can tell if it's going to be a good deck. So like it built me a Silver Surfer deck. Silver Surfer boosts anything with that power cost 3. So therefore, Sebastian is a power cost 3. It builds a Silver Surfer deck around that, and also tossed in Elsa Bloodstone because we're going to be filling up the map, the area. So it did build me a good deck based off of my cards. I'm very curious because I kind of want to. When I get to the next year, I kind of want to do like a retrospect and like, hey, let me do like not necessarily a Smurf account, but like a new account just to kind of see how the intro is nowadays, just to see how it's gone from the past year because they changed this thing up like crazy, and just to see how it feels to play with that older, like being forced to play with the old, like the base cards, and seeing how like the deck builder goes with that. I'm curious to see how it does once we roll into the new year. I'm gonna mess around with that probably one day.
I would be interested if you could compare, like if you took a past season's meta or like a deck from the previous that you built around like a special card, like the Annihilus card or something like that. I'd be interested to see if you put that in a deck builder, if it would build something close to the meta you built yourself.
Possibly, yeah. If I built it off, because a lot of the decks I build, to be fair, are built off of the meta usually. Like I'll be like, okay, I got a Nihilus deck. I'm like, what are people kind of using for a Nihilus? Like I kind of got the idea of what I want to use. But then I get like ideas for other cards to put in there that I didn't possibly necessarily think of, like Black Widow or something like that, to where it's okay, that's putting an extra -1 on their side too. So that's already kind of building that up for me. But yeah, I'm
It's
very
be
curious to
interesting
see how
if
it
you
goes.
compared to see how smart it
Yeah,
was.
it would be interesting. Yeah, and I just want to see how they do. Like, if I were to buy like the season pass on like a brand new account that doesn't have all those cards in it, what kind of deck is it going to build me with the base cards, or the cards that I don't? Because you don't have those cards, so I can fill it. The latest pass also put in like a new way of collecting, which I'm not going to dive into too much, but it will probably help decide for me what cards I want to get going forward. Because now it's like, oh hey, get all the not all the, but like this like 12. There's a 12. Gotta get the 12 series to find the collections, right? And if you complete those collections, every so many cards you get in those collections, you get like a reward. So it's either credits. Oh, what's up, Kiki? It's credits. It's there's like even like Spotlight Cash unlocks for that, or like even like a card variant or something like that you can get as far as just like getting them. So this one is 90s Jim Lee X-Men. So if you start collecting the 90s Jim Lee X-Men, it'll go through there and start filling that up, and you'll get rewards based off of collecting those type of cards. Which also helps because the random one, like, so you every week that changes the cards you can buy. There's only like 9 or 12 cards you can buy and choose from every day. And there's always one, like a mystery card. You can just pay 800 credits and you get like a mystery card. And I would always get fucked and get like a Pixel or a Dan Hip or something like that, right? To where it's not something I really want. But this one now tells you, oh, hey, it's going to be based off of one of those collections that you would want to get. So that's a nice start because you're going to get one of those. So right there, it shows me.
Do you pick the collection you're going after?
So not the picture collection you're going after, but it'll pick from one of those collections. So right now it has a little icon right there that lets me know it's picking out Venomized Villains, which is a collection that you can work towards. So it's like, okay, you will get a Venomized villain.
They have the Kirkham Loki? Because, dude, he looks good.
They do. I think there's the one that turned out has, yeah, it's the Venomized Loki. Yeah, they have that one. That one's been there for me. Yeah, it's great.
Fun.
It looks really good.
So they'll let you know ahead of time whether or not you're going to get fucked.
Yeah, so no,
Yes.
they say, hey, you're not going to get fucked and get a Pixel here. You're going to get one of them from the collections. Or at least let you know what you're going to get out of it, which I like that a little bit better. Just, you're going to get one of this collection, which I think is a better way of doing it rather than one randomly other thing.
Let me know if you're going to shoot me in the dick ahead of time. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah,
Sure.
because you get one of the collection, but if you're going for a certain collection and you're getting one card for other collections and you're not making progress toward the rewards, the new way of collecting. So it is just buy more cards and yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's like two big, huge changes they did this last patch, and I'll be done with Snap. They did nerf Eliath, finally. They did it. So it used to be you played him out, he destroyed anything that they played on that side, right? Now, he defeats any cards that are not revealed. So any cards that aren't flipped over. So there's Invisible Woman. She's like, hey, she holds all the cards down to not be played until the end of the game. You could just screw that whole entire lane up for anyone who has it. But if they reveal their cards before you and that whole lane is revealed, Eliath doesn't do shit but give you some power. So it's helping it out to where he's not super overpowered, which is nice. The second one is a super different change they did. They changed American Chavez. Chavez has been used to like help the meta as far as like giving you a slightly better percentage on drawing the cards you want for that 5 turns, because she will be drawn within the 6th turn every single time, no matter what. So therefore, 1 through 5, you have a slightly better rate of getting the cards you want the first 5 rounds. The way the math works on that's just how it goes. To where you're essentially,
if she's guaranteed to get 6, then is she your only 6 power card?
No, so you can get 6 power cards before that, because you're not drawing 6 power cards on turn 6. You're just
that's true.
You draw whatever randomly is in your deck. But if you have her, you're going to draw her on 6, which means that you're never going to draw her on turn 1 through 5. So therefore, 1 through 5 will have a better turnout or percentage ratio than it would be. It's bullshit. I mean, there's been a whole debate this past year.
How much of a percentage
there's
does
been
it
a whole
help
debate
you
last
out?
year. It's like, is it putting Chavez make it a better deck, or is it make it a worse deck? I'm like, to me personally, I don't like putting Chavez in because I feel like you should have a better enough deck to where like I should be able to drop a good card on the 6th turn. Like I'll just be holding out like, okay, still I want, because if there's a card I'm looking for and I can't get that card, turn 6 comes around, I'm already fucked because I'm already going to draw Chavez, which to be fair, she has good power, or had good power. They nerfed her power too now. But like, it was a good 9 power. You're going to get that every turn 6, no matter what, which is kind of nice. But me personally, I'm like, no, maybe you should just build a better deck to where you can have a nice drop on 6 rather than getting Chavez every single turn 6. So that's just me and my personal choice.
Good over here.
a lot of the YouTubers that I watch and like the top 10 players, like they will put that Chavez in their deck because they want to get those cards out early to make the better plays, I guess. But me personally, I'm like, no, that's not how I want to play. I don't want.
You're out here firing shots, saying all those YouTubers, all those streamers aren't good enough. Get good, noobs.
No, they're much better than I am. But still, I just prefer not to play that way.
They're a bunch of cheaters over there.
Not cheaters. It's the way to play. Well, you can't do it anymore, so no more cheating for them, I guess, right? Other than that, I did play a handful of other games. I beat Cassette Beasts. Game's fucking fantastic.
Nice.
I got the Puppo partner, Barkley. He's great.
God, I love his name. Barkley's
a great name for a dog. Alex, if you do play Cassette Beasts, I want to give you a little bit of a warning. It's not puppy harm, but there's something right there about their story that is very sad at the very beginning, and it got me. It got me pretty hard. I took Christian. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ! This game went way too hard for what it is. For like a Pokemon-like game, this game is pulling on strings.
It is. It's sad in the sense that it's like, oh, this is like
what happened to the dog. It's life.
This point is sad, but then you're like, oh, but this thing that we're in now has made it so that it's kind of irrelevant and everything's still happy and fine. So I'll just live here forever. Like it's literally
total situation.
Yeah.
And other than that, I don't want to spoil anything. We'll keep that for the game of the year. But the ending totally fucking nailed it. Did a fantastic job. The gymnast pose at the very end. It nailed the fucking landing altogether. It's great. It's a fantastic game. Definitely going to be in my top 5. I've already decided that. It's somewhere in my top 5 right now. That's my total end of the year. Outside of that game, I beat another game. Christian sent a article. I forget what the website was from. But it had a top 10 or whatever, or top 20 or 30. And I'm like, okay, well,
Pace.com.
Yeah, Pace.com's game of the year.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go through, I'm like, okay, well, let's start looking at some of the indie games, the smaller games, the games I can kind of maybe get through before the end of the year, just to kind of give them, like, a chance, right?
Dredge. Great on Steam Deck.
I played Dredge for a hot second. I got that through GameFly, and I sent that one back pretty fucking fast. Great. It is a great game. It's a very fun game, but not for me. Not for me. I played Venba. This is a very short game. It's under 3 hours, so it's on Game Pass. If you're very curious and you just want, I say it's kind of like sitting down to do a movie with a little bit of interaction. So this is about a family, or at the first, it's a couple who moves from India and then goes to Canada, and then they're trying to make a life there. They end up having a kid, and you're kind of following the family's life cycle. And then you get like a lot of like what happens within that family. The interactive part of it, it's definitely like a visual novel for sure. That's about 2 hours long, and the game parts of it are cooking. So you're cooking traditional Indian dishes that I've never heard of, but all look very fun to make. But I just don't have the tools to do so. But it's very fun because you're trying to do the recipes off of like the grandmother or her mother's recipe book. But some of them have little smudges on like some of the ingredients where you don't know. Like, okay, so you're trying to piece them together and figure it out. I did save some videos that I'll be putting down the bottom. But it's very got a very like PBS type style animation to it. It's very, very heartwarming, very well written, and just very interesting. If you want a little culture in your life, just definitely go and check this game out. Like I said, it's a nice, like if you're thinking about sitting down to do a movie, but you want a little bit of interaction with it, this would be a great way to do so. I feel it. I wish it was a little bit longer. I wish they got a little bit more parts of their life. Because there's some parts where they just kind of like fade away, skip forward a little bit, and someone's older, and things of that nature. But I'm like, I kind of wish they got a little bit more in between there. But it is what it is. I wish there was a little bit more of the cooking. There's not as much cooking as I thought there was going to be in there. But the next game I talk about will kind of feel that way. But I finished it. It's a fun game. It doesn't ask a whole lot of you. It's on Game Pass. It's very short. So if you just want like a little bit of extra game and you just want to have some fun with it, it's a great game to go for. That's Venba. Also played a game through Steam. I saw this on the PC Gaming Showcase that was earlier this week, or a couple weeks ago, and I was watching it during work, and I look up, I'm like, man, they're making a new pod racing game? And then all of a sudden I see like bullets coming, rockets and stuff like that. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And it looks good. and it's like Death Grip. I'm like, what the fuck is this? I'm like, demo out now or whatever. I'm like, okay, go download the demo. I play a couple of races because they give you 2 maps and they kind of let you just you can add AI to it. You can do time trials if you want.
Really quick before you continue, your tone is already not inspiring confidence.
It's made by 2 people and it's actually pretty good. Like,
okay.
It's a little floaty, but it's a pod racing kind of game. So it's not like tires on tracks. You're on like these like little jet machines, and a lot of they're not shy from it being a pod racing inspired game because some of these pods look like Sebulba's pod. It looks like Anakin's pod. Like it's what they call it.
Legally distinct.
Legally distinct racers, if you will.
Intellectually distinct.
Intellectually distinct
right?
racers, yeah. So it is what it is, but it's very well done. And I was surprised to find out by 2 people. I went and backed it, so I'm giving them a little bit of money to kind of like help them push this forward. They gave us a roadmap for it as well, which is really nice. So you can kind of see like where it's going to be going, what they would like to add to it. I'm super stoked about the game. It felt very good. I'm super into, you guys know, fast-paced, arcadey racing combat games. Like, those are my jammy jams. Like, put F-Zero, and if you want to say F-Zero has rockets, fucking got me in. Let's do it. So I'm super ready for it. I'm part of the Discord now, so I'm kind of watching it as they're making the updates. They do update it regularly. I'm very into this game. I'm more into it than you probably would expect it.
I also, that's great, and I'm happy that's the case, and I'll totally check it out. The way you were talking about it, your tone was like going down as you were talking, and so I thought you were about to be like,
and it's garbage.
And it's fucking ass. And I was like, oh,
it's good.
Damn.
It's very good.
Okay.
It's a little extra floaty. I'm sure they could fix that before they go through, or just you got to get used to it because Pod Racer, the game, was also very floaty. I mean, it's like I said, there's no traction on tires.
Couldn't you give some recommendations? Why don't you throw that recommendation out there?
What recommendation? Oh yeah. No, I definitely will. Yes, but I'm more. I need to play a little bit more to know if it's just me or if it's I just need to get used to it because compared to like playing a game with tires on the ground or like even an F-Zero, this one feels a little bit more floaty. But I feel that it is okay for the type of racer that you're playing, like a pod racer, because pod racer was a little bit floaty. Like you go too hard into a turn, you're going to go into that wall and explode immediately because it's not very forgiving as far as like you hit that wall, you're probably going to explode, but you get respawned right onto the track pretty quickly and you can go about your business. It looks great too. It looks really, really, really good. So I definitely say check it out. Look at the trailer online. If it doesn't look like your kind of thing, if it doesn't look like it, you're not going to enjoy it. But if it looks like something you'd be into, demos on Steam. Give it a race or two, and you'll be just fine. But yeah. So I played that one, and then let's see here. Lastly, a game that I'm currently playing. Going through Game Pass, looking through that list that Christian gave. I'm like, let's find things like, oh yeah, Thirsty Suitors came out this year. I'm like, I remember seeing the trailer for that. Looked a lot of fun.
Sounds like a dating sim.
It is a skateboarding / cooking / turn-based combat game.
Thirsty Suitors.
It's a little bit of a relationship.
An adult-only dating sim.
It sounds like a spin-off of Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah. No,
it 100% does.
It's incredibly well written. You play Jala, and she moves back into town after losing a relationship wherever she left her hometown. She's now back in the hometown, where you will be looking like you're facing all of her previous exes. So it's got a little bit of a Scott Pilgrim to it. Super, really funny writing, very great writing. It also, everything is super over the top. So when you're fighting them, you're fighting the suitors. Sometimes you'll find these little gift boxes in the world, and you're going over them. And it's like, okay, roll the dice. Is this going to be a gift, or is this going to be? I think they call them grifters. To where it's your grandma found out you're in town, so she's sending suitors your way to try to get you into a relationship. And you're doing the turn-based combat against these guys. Or girls, I guess, too, as well, maybe. I've been fighting guys so far. But it's funny because the combat is... There's some, like one of the actions I did was it's like a dunk. So you're dunking on them, but you're actually, like, this purple basketball comes in, and you're pressing the button as, like, you're hitting it to kind of do some, like, QTE to get, like, a better hit on them. But... you can do debuffs to them that are kind of also go in pair with that, to where you can enrage them, you can flirt with them to make them thirsty, you can talk down to them, like just kind of
make them thirsty.
Yeah, well, it's thirsty suitors, so you can try to make them thirsty, so you flirt with them a little bit. But there's like QTEs for everything to go through. It's very fun. Everything's super over the top. Like one of your attacks is you can call mom. So it's you're summoning mom in, and it's this giant kaiju-sized mom, and she takes out her sandal and beats the dude down with it. But it's all like for different types of suitors. They have different dialogue that go with her, and it's very, very funny. I've laughed at it many times. It's very enjoyable. If you watch the trailer for it, you'll understand what I mean. But I do have some clips I'll be putting down there, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
But it's
the way you described it last night sounded fucking wild.
It is, yeah. It's very over the top. Like, watch some of this footage I'll have down here and on the YouTube, and it gets very wild, and it's very fun, very funny. And then you with the family kind of aesthetic there, it does very well and gets pretty wholesome. Like Dad, I love Dad in here. Dad's fantastic. Always playing like the pacifist like in the background, but like I'm not getting involved in this shit. But also like you might be sneaking him like some like candy bars here and there due to his diabetes and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. No, you're good.
A little light murder possible amputation.
I'm sorry, I kept on seeing this right here, and I thought something was on fire, so I got a little worried. So I had to look back, but it's the college van transportation thing has a little flip out on there. I just didn't notice that little light until just now. It's kind of freaking me out. But yeah, Thirsty Suitors, very fun, very good. I will be playing more of that. That's another small, short game, about 7-8 hours, I think. So I'll probably get through that, unless the skating can be a little bit janky, but it's a little fun. But it's not the full game part of it. So
you should hop in that Discord too. Message them, say, hey, your skating sucks.
That game's already done.
Make it better.
I'm good. I don't think they have a Discord for me to jump into. Like, I don't think they care at this point. But yeah, it looks fun. It's been fun. So yeah. Other than that, I think that's all I got. That is my week.
Nice. Thank you. So I'll go. I beat Sonic Frontiers.
Boop, boop.
Man,
It's your favorite Sonic game now?
No, not even. I don't even know that I can safely recommend it to people.
It's better than the time Sonic falls in love with a human, but it's not quite as good. It is.
Yeah. It's weird. It's
somewhere between those.
It is like it's clearly unfinished.
Sure.
There are so many points, especially in the boss battles, where like you can tell that they wanted Sonic and the boss, for that matter, to have audio, but he just doesn't. And so like you can see like his mouth moves a couple times, or he'll be like yelling, but then nothing happens. Like no audio goes along with it, and you're like, okay, like that's
why you have that badass soundtrack.
Now, look, dude, songs go hard all the way till the end. I think it overstays its welcome just a tad.
Okay.
So by one stage too many.
As
So
open worlds do.
what happens is, so there's the different islands that you go to, and then each island has a big robot, and you fight it, and blah blah blah, right? So there's the first 3, and those are just bang bang bang, you move on. Then there's this, because of story things, there's this 4th island, and this 4th island, you just go, like, you literally are on it for 5 seconds, and you just, like, activate all 6 of these towers, and it's, like, this giant platforming sort of gauntlet that happens between each of them, and then that activates what ends up being the 5th island, and then you knock that out. Cut that whole 4th island out. It's meaningless. It doesn't do anything. I literally was, as I finished it, I was like, that's, and it's like, the game goes to the nerve to be like, oh, look, you 100% completed this island. I'm like, there's nothing on it. Like, there's nothing for me to complete. But they do that. It's a little much. I was, by the end of it, I was like, if they didn't tell you that the island that you're on is the end, I would not have finished it. I'd have been like, I don't know how much longer I got in this, but I can't, because I knew it was the final thing. I was like, all right, I'm gonna finish this. But Jesus Christ, like, I didn't need all that fucking thing there. So yeah, it's not finished. You can clearly tell. That being said, dude, there's so many times I'm just sitting there with my mouth open, like, I can't believe that someone made this. Like, it is, I don't know, man. I think if you catch it on a steep sale, like I did, it's worth it just to see, like, how deep it go, like where you're just like, wow, you guys really went for. And I think there's a lot of ideas, right? And I also, there's two things that I forgot to mention last week that I wanted to make sure I brought up, about especially in its how much it's like Breath of the Wild. So in Breath of the Wild, everybody knows you know enemies stay dead, right? Like for a long time, and then you know Zelda does her fucking like, ooh, the red moon, and then it fucking everybody comes back and it's fine. In this, a similar thing happens where the enemies that you kill stay dead, but then it will respawn every few days, except in true Sonic fashion, they get fucking crazy with it. And it's like this like shooting star night where like stars, just like shooting stars will just start hitting the planet. And you collect them all, and then you use them as currency to play a slot machine that will give you Big the Cat coins to go and play in the fishing minigame.
Of course.
And the fishing minigame is absolutely incredible. They spent more time on this fishing minigame than I think they did in other parts of the game. It's so fucking funny because it is obviously with next gen stuff in, you know, Sega with the Yakuza games and other stuff, like they're not like they know how to make stuff in HD, right? So these fish are ridiculously high fidelity, so it's really fucking funny to see Sonic be like, "Hey," and like this, but then holding like a squid
like a
by
true
its
to
neck,
life, but like a true to life fish,
and holding it in the camera, and the fish is like, "Let me go," and you're just like, "I got you, you motherfucker!" Like it is so crazy, and there's like, and because Sonic is the size that he is, there's like a time where I caught a hammerhead shark. And so you catch it, and he's holding the hammerhead shark like this, like he's got his arms out. But the hammerhead shark has covered his complete body. So all you see is a hammerhead shark with two sneakers underneath it, and that's basically it. It's incredible. Like, it's one of these things where you look at it, and you're just like, you didn't mean this to be, like, slapstick weirdo shit, but that's what this is and it's so funny. So there's those things. There's Sonic Pinball is in it.
Oh, shit. Love me some Sonic Pinball.
Yeah, dude, it's like a whole thing. There is like an Ikaruga style like shmup mini game that's in there too.
Oh, shit.
It's so much like it's wild that they have all of this and that most of it's not finished in some form or fashion. Like it's crazy. I wish they would have been given more time so that I can see it's the story thing is still the same problem that I had last time where there's just I'm sure there's so much context that I missed based on the thing. But it ends with Sonic basically Goldberg spearing a planet and shooting through the side of it and killing this thing. It's cool as hell. I was like, man, you guys did it for whatever that's worth. Like, again, I don't even know that I would... It's not... it is not a... I don't think I would say it is a good game just based off of it being unfinished and all these things. But it is very interesting... And it is very, like, I admire the hell out of the game, if that makes sense. Like, it is, like, they go for it, and they really, you can see where they're going, and they're like, dude, the ideas that you have here are really fucking good. You just, somebody should have given you, like, I don't know, another year or more to really finish it. But other than that, it's, you know, what can you say? But, speaking of another game that I don't think was finished, to a much lesser degree, was I beat Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, Jedi Survivor.
How long is that game if you mainline it?
30?
I don't know.
25, 30?
I don't know. It didn't say. Xbox didn't track it, so I have no idea. But I felt like it went... it was a pretty steady clip. I did it over like 3 sessions, I think.
Yeah.
So I was talking to Preston about this a little bit ahead of time when we were waiting for you, Alex. But it was so when I started out, I did not have that many performance issues or bugs or anything like that. And as the game went on, they just kept stacking and stacking and stacking to the point where by the end of it, I had people T-posing into cutscenes. I had I was wearing the hunter outfit, so for those who don't know, it's like this weird... He's got like a fur poncho and then like a little tag on the back and like a little flash grenade looking thing and all this other stuff. every single scene that he's in, as soon as Cal walks onto the screen, everything was going like this. Like, it was just fucking all over the fucking place and shaking and going crazy. There was a couple times where the poncho cape would just, like, completely cover the screen. Like, it would just, like, fucking the polygons would go crazy and, like, go to, like, 15 times their size and, like, go everywhere.
The poncho capes on games, Destiny has this problem too sometimes, are my favorite, where, like, the cape just, like, elongates and takes up, like, the whole screen. You're just like, what? Because that game did it for me. That's not the only game that's done that.
Spider-Man 2 did that for me.
Yeah, and I'm just like, what is it? What code is it that everybody messes up sometimes, or does it in every game?
Yeah, dude, it was fucking crazy. I don't know, man. I ran into in the back, like I would say, let's call it last 3 hours of the game. I had a permanent screen tear on every cutscene, so it was a perfect square that was like a half inch that was just completely, like, you could just see the tear that was happening, and it was like, okay, I guess.
And you played on Xbox, not computer.
Yeah, and I had the last little platforming gauntlet that goes up to Dagongera, basically, was nothing but invisible walls that I couldn't get through. Like, it was the game was like, you need to go this way, and I'm like, word, I hear you, but you won't let me go. Like, and so, like, Cal would just, like, I would dash and I would just be stuck in the fucking air and I couldn't do anything. And so I would just drop, and there was a couple times, like, I would set the controller down and I would just, like, look, and I'm like, I'm about at my limit. Like, I am about at my limit. But then as soon as I would get to that, the game would be like, okay, we've moved it and you can go through now. And I'm like, I appreciate you. Thank you.
It's a shame a game with such a good story is marred by developmental issues.
Yeah. So it's been out for a little bit, but still, spoiler warning for those who don't want to hear it. But so I saw
like March, right? It's like 9 months.
Yeah, it's been a little bit, but still, it's this.
You try to keep it for Game of the Year, but
not for spoilers. I don't mean that. I'm just like, it's been out. It was like an early
as far as
this year game.
So I'll still be light about it. Actually, you don't even need to worry about it spoiling. I'll be light. So but I saw the turn that happens. Let's say I saw that coming from minute one. There was just something about that situation. Let's call it. That the way that it was, I was like, I don't know about you, and that's.
So let me ask, because Preston and I talked about it and felt the same way, like something is clearly up, but the outcome of the turn I did not expect.
Yes,
like
I didn't expect the abilities that situation might have had, but I knew, I was like, something's wrong with you.
Yes.
I just don't know what. Yeah. So that was, I will say that was cool. The next thing was that there's the part where you switch characters. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. My problem was with the villain that shows up there, or the thing that shows up there. I think, this part, everybody, it's not that crazy. Darth Vader shows up when you're playing as somebody, and Darth Vader's there.
Sooner or later, yeah.
Yeah, it's whatever. This part I don't mind. So, it's a fucking Star Wars thing. Darth Vader's going to be there. But my problem is, I think there's only, in my opinion, one way that Darth Vader can be used effectively, and it always has to be as the monster you have to run from, and not the thing that you fight. Because even, like Preston and I were talking about, like in Star Wars Force Unleashed 2, that game is ass, right? But even in Force Unleashed 1, you have to fight him, and the entire time you're fighting him, you go, well, I know how this ends, like, already. Like, I know I'm going to lose this fight, even if I fucking stunt on him, which is what happened for me in this game. I parried every single hit. I didn't get hit once during that entire fight, and
then the cutscene happens. You're like,
then the cutscene happens, and you're like, it does sort of take you out a little bit, where you're like,
yeah,
no, bro, I had you, right? Like, but you're like,
I vaguely recall saying something similar, where you're taken out because, like, yeah, the cutscene is drastically different than you're tasked with beating this character. and then the cutscene happened.
You're doing it,
No,
and
just
then all of a
kidding.
sudden
You're
it's like,
just-
Whereas
nah,
I think,
nah.
and Preston and I were talking about this. I think that's a place that the first game succeeds at, because Darth Vader shows up, and the character who gets grabbed by him is like, you can see in her face, she's fucking terrified, right? And
She's like, get the fuck out.
She's like, you need to fucking run, and then she gets skewered, and you're like, oh fuck, like, and it goes from there, right? Like, that's the way he needs to be hit. Another example is like the way he's handled in Rogue One, which is I think the best way that he's ever been handled. Outside of there's the certain parts in the Obi-Wan show that's does his thing and it's very cool. But in general, Rogue One is the perfect example where he's like, it's a horror movie villain. Like, you're like, he can't be beaten. Nothing we're doing is working. You need to run. You need to run. You need to run. That's the way for Darth Vader to be handled, because if you put him as a thing that you have to fight, it becomes, well, okay, there's only two ways this can end. I either have to escape somehow through various means, or I fucking lose. That's it, right? And it makes the moment that happens during that fight a little less impactful, because I knew it was coming the entire time.
The way that I put it, Vader should be used as an event, not a boss battle.
Right.
It should be like, something's happening. Okay, Darth Vader's here. Fuck it. This is an event we have to deal with. Not as in this is a character I need to fight.
You should have just, instead of the fight, just have the cutscene. Right,
have the cutscene, or have you trying to escape from him, and then the cutscene happens too, or something like that. But you shouldn't be arena battling fucking Darth Vader. It's just not gonna.
It's just, there's just no point.
Yeah.
So there was that part. I'm trying to think if there was.
I don't think people
else.
would have been mad either. Like, if you would have just gotten to that part where he shows up and you just show like a 1 minute FMV that just like.
Maybe you have to press the buttons a couple times.
Ends the way that it ended. Yeah, like I don't think people would have been mad at that either, because you would have gone, yeah, makes sense. Like
I think the best way to do it is, I think the best way to do it would have been, that character is trying to get like the backup of the data, right? Like she's trying to get out, and then one of the bookshelves just comes fucking flying. Like I'm talking, like send it a bazillion miles, like just cut or right through into a wall, right? And then she is like, or the person's like, oh god, like we gotta run, and then it turns into a fucking like event where you're running away, and like shit is just getting thrown at you, and you have to like dodge and get away, like treat it as a thing. And then even at the end, it can still have the same end result, right? Like have the end result be like this person gets like fucking smoked by something, and the whole scene can still play out the same way that it played out, but make it in a way that's like, I'm running, it's like, oh fuck, I'm trying to get out, let's see if I can get out, and then it's like, oh, I got fucking owned. Whereas the entire time that you're fighting, you're just like, well, this is, okay, I'm gonna get smoked. Like, this is what's gonna happen. So there was that piece. I'm trying to think if there was anything else.
How many times did you see Scuba Steph? Only that one time?
I saw him, so it was really, I saw him 3 times after the first time that I met him. And the second or third time it's so funny. I spent so long in the area that you see him after Dagon Gera, where you come down that fucking zip line. Mm-hmm. That was the place that I told you guys that it looked like the game wanted me to go there, so I spent so goddamn long in that whole zone that because I couldn't figure out that they wanted me to drop down and go. Like, so I was like, so I spent so much time in that fucking area that when I came down the elevator, I was like, oh, dude, you've got to be kidding me. And so then I go down the zip line, and then Scuba Stev is fucking in the middle. He's like, oh, dude, I'm going to get this fish. And he just jumps in. I'm like, I was here for so goddamn long, and now all of a sudden this shit is populated. But yeah, he's a really funny side character. I love his little cart that he fucking sails around in. It's good stuff.
I love that because it's such a random, like, most young people in the game don't know Scuba Steve. They don't know Big Daddy, right? Yeah. Like, it's just such a random
touch.
I liked Rick the Door Engineer as a boss battle. I thought that was kind of fun.
Fucking great.
The end, I will say, there's only one thing I'll say about the ending. I thought the ending was fine. It was there's a scene where Cal is standing on the ridge, right? And there's the 3 things that are in front of him. And it starts to do the time-lapse effect to show how long Cal was sort of sitting there and gathering himself. But because the game was so buggy up to that point, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I was like, oh, this is intended.
Yeah.
This is intended. Okay, we're cool. I'm good. But like, I was like, cool. I don't know what the fuck is happening here. I don't know what's anybody's saying.
My game's just fast forwarding. I don't understand it. People
I was
walking
like,
up and walking
whatever,
away.
dude. I was like, fuck it. I'll look this up later. I don't care. And then it was when I saw that it was in town. I was like, oh, we're good. All right, cool.
That's funny.
But yeah, it was. The only other frustrating thing. I think they need to figure out where they want the combat to live at in this game. And what I mean by that is most of the time the combat is very satisfying. Like the sort of back and forth of attack, parry, keep attacking, parry, keep attacking, parry, like, you know, that whole thing that you can do is very good. There's some times where the game is really all about trying to take you out of that rhythm and like fuck you by having shit hit you off screen, like that you can't see, like it's completely, I don't know what's behind, and so then you just get hit with random blaster bolts and you're like, oh, you should have blocked that. It's like, how was I supposed to know? I don't have a fucking little spidey sense thing above my head letting me know that something's about to shoot me so I can get my parry ready, or, you know, whatever. And there's times where, like, you're sitting there, so there was a part where it was two of the General Grievous looking motherfuckers that have the spinny, like this little spin attack or whatever. And then behind them was two droidicas, and they're just sitting there fucking turreting you the entire time. So the game's like, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And you're like, well, I'd love to go get the droidicas so then I can deal with these guys on their own terms. And they're like, yeah, but what if when you were trying to pull them with the force to you so you can kill the droidicas, what if we kept targeting other things in the room? It was like, well, no, that wouldn't be very helpful. I don't want you to do that. And they're like, yeah, but, you know, there's a clip that I recorded of a puzzle that I, like, no shit, the button is on the screen. It says left trigger, and it's telling me to pull it down. And then I have Cal going like this. And he just keeps trying to pull it, and it's not coming. And I'm just like, bro. Like, and then the door, it was that, if you guys remember, there's that puzzle where you need to create the door to, like, let you into that zone. So, like, the two doors. Yeah. So you have to push the one door to get it to where it needs to go, and then you push the other one, and while it's coming, you need to grab the line and pull it so that they can connect.
So it doesn't stop, Yeah.
I'm just sitting there, and I'm just fucking pulling at it, and nothing is happening, and I'm like...
I remember, I had that issue too, because it's so high up, you can't get your camera straight up. I remember
so
that.
I got the camera lined up perfectly. The left trigger button is showing on the screen. Like, it's like, you got it. And then you'd sit there and do it, and the door would come into frame, and then it would connect to the door, and then send the door flying backwards, and I'm like, I'm gonna lose my mind. And it was that similar thing happened during the where when they put a lot of shit all at once on you, and they're like, here you go. You're like, oh, it's like the Doom thing over again, where, like, when you saw the demon Doom Marines, where you're like, oh, god damn it, like, okay. And so I just sat there. So the two that I went with, the two stances I went with was the dual wield and then cross guard.
Okay.
And because cross guard was like, I can do wide sweeping motions to clip people, and it does a lot of fucking damage. So, you know, I'll use that. And then when I want to just do regular stuff, I'll just do dual wield. So
that's what I did.
What I would do is when I got to those moments, instead of doing what I liked doing, which is I'm just sitting here fucking going at people, and then the second I see an attack coming, I'm like, parry, keep going, and, like, do your thing, pull stuff. The fun that I think is what they... And again, most of the combat encounters are like that. But there's these very few where they push these a shit ton, and you're like, okay. And I would switch to cross guard, and then I would just stand there. I wouldn't move. I would be like, you guys can come to me, and then I will just wait when it's barely my turn for 1 second, and I'll get one big swing in to do a shit ton of your health, and then I'll wait again. And I'll sit here, and I'll parry, and I'll get until you're broken, and I can do it. And it's like, I think the problem is that in those games, unlike something like maybe, you know, like a Souls game, which is clearly where they take some inspiration from, because with the bonfires and the whole thing.
Same as in the first one.
Unlike with a Souls game, like, if I'm swinging, it makes sense in in the sense of, like, if I have some giant fucking steel cloud-sized Buster Sword and I'm swinging around, it's like, okay, I'm going to be big and hulking and I need to wait for my one moment to fucking hit and do the thing. When I'm swinging around plasma swords, like, I need to be able to be like, it makes more sense when I'm fast and doing my shit. Like, I don't want to wait and sit and let everything come to me and then just, like, slowly do that stuff. So that's one of my only other complaints about it. But like I said, most of the combat encounters aren't like that. There's just very random ones, and even the end game, like, Cal will be like, "Oh, fucking, all right, you ready, BD?" And then it's like, even you don't want to do this. Like, so it's just, but they, in general, I think that a lot of the issues that I have, or a lot of the performance, EA, stop killing your studios. Just let Respawn have some. They have a very good idea, and it's a very good. Like, let them fucking finish a game, please. Like, God, they already give you Apex. You're already taking in money from them all the time. Just fucking let them. Whoever's making Star Wars, let that team just sit there and do it. And when it's ready, it's ready. It doesn't matter. Like, it's maddening because you see all those performance bugs and issues, and you're just like, this doesn't need to be like this. You can just these all could have been fixed.
The fact that they clearly said the game is out, we're moving on, and it's still unfixed in a lot of these instances is crazy too. There's like, hey, it's out. I don't know what you want from us, right?
And what's crazy about that too is that you know that's from EA, and you know it's because they're already working on the next game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they are like, we can't pull resources away because internally they have a date that they need to hit for that next game, and EA is already breathing down their fucking necks about it.
Yep.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then I beat the game that we're going to talk about here. But that's it.
Cool. My week isn't as long. I continue to play Halo. It's great. Progressing along. I have so many double XP boosts saved up that I finished off one of the level 50 battle passes. I'm at level 87 of another. Like, I'm going back, so I'm at level 87 of Season 2 battle pass to finish off. Like, I'm flying through these things. So playing a lot of that, having fun. I thought I was going to beat 2 games this week. I only ended up beating 1. Right. Very close on the second one, both of which are probably going to be on my top 10. So I'm not going to talk too much about this one because we've talked about it a little bit already. Christian beat it last week, which is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. It was fantastic. I'll talk more about this when it comes to our personal top 10s at least, because I know it's going to make mine. Christian and I had a chance to talk about it the other day on Discord, Preston, when you weren't on. It was in the morning or something, which was good because I don't want to give any spoilers away. Sure. But, like, they went so hard for the end, just because. And it's like, it's all good and it's all fun. It's wacky, and, like, the bad guy at the end is, like, big and tough, and all you want to do is defeat this bad guy. And they're like, yeah, you're feeling top of the world, right? And they're like, yeah, what if we just, like, crush you with emotions for the last 5 minutes? Because that's what we're going to do. And you're just like, but why, though?
And we'll twist the knife repeatedly. You'll think, like, you'll be sitting there and you're like, there's no way this can get more sad than it is now. And then they're like, but what if we twisted the knife while it was inside you? And you're like, oh, I don't want you to do that. And they're like, yeah. They're like, and then what if we spit on the knife after that? And you're like, I really don't want you to do that. Like, they just really keep going.
Yeah. It was very good. Very fun. Again, we'll talk about it later, but Christian, same thing we talked about last week. Like, you cut out the bloat. It's perfect 10 out of 10. Like, the story is great. The other stuff that they include in there is just classic RGG. Like, they always put a bunch of side activities in there.
Yeah.
But again, like, cut that out and just make it a DLC for the previous game as a tie into the next one, and, like, you're done. It was very good. So I beat that. The game I thought I was going to beat, and I didn't, but I'll beat it shortly, was Mario Wonder.
Oh, okay.
And
co-op all the way through?
are... Yeah. Yes. And I have to say that I typically don't care about Mario games. Like, I enjoy them. I enjoy the platforming. Sure. I don't care about the story. Like, Allie loves them, and it's something we play together.
It's not
right?
usually a whole
so, like,
lot
I
of
always...
story. Yeah.
There's not, and there's not a lot of variation. The platforming is the platforming. It is what it is. Like, I like them because Allie and I play them together, right? And that's the fun of it. And I'm usually not that good at them. I really like this one.
It's
like,
good.
I found myself asking Allie to be like, hey, want to play some Wonder? Like, the variations of the things they do, like every level is different, every world is different, every special Wonder thing that you launch in every single level is different. Like, I actually have fun with it. They're smart. Like, not every area ends in a boss battle. Some areas end in like an objective that progresses the story, but it's not like it. It's very good. That's all I'm going to say for now, because again, like, I'll talk more about it on the top 10. But like, I actually give a damn about a Mario game. This one's very good. So I thought I was going to beat it.
Very good.
We're on the last world. I'll beat it soon. And that's it. And then the other game I beat was the one we're going to talk about tonight. I actually platinumed it, if you will. 100%ed it on Steam.
I see the achievement.
I had almost naturally done it. I had two that I didn't get naturally, which were make it to the highest area in the game, which is like in the final area in the mountains. There's these like essentially updrafts that you can catch. I'm sure you guys saw those floating around. There's an achievement for making it to the tallest one, which puts you to the highest point. And then the other one that I didn't get naturally, and this one's actually a pain in the ass and it's dumb, but it's run with 6 animals. So like in that game, if you're just running full speed, if you run up to an animal, they'll run, and if you chase them for about 10 seconds, they like flash gold, and then they'll run with you. And you have to run with 6 at one time. And the reason that's a pain in the butt is because you have to go all the way back to the first area, because it's the only place that is like open enough space that you can just like catch deer going back and forth. Other than that, though, because I played this game before and just naturally playing through, I actually got all but 2. So I saw that and I was like, what are these 2 that I'm missing, please? just show these to me and I will go do them now. Gotta get them. So we'll talk about it now. Part 3, final part of the Pathless. Will not be a long part because, let's be honest, I covered majority of the story last week where we really broke down everything. So this one's going to be just the main 2 boss battles, because again, the nice thing for the book club, maybe not the nice thing for the experience, is that every plateau is rinse and repeat in what you have to do. So there's not really much to say there, right? And I kind of told you all the lore, so like we don't need to rehash it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it, and that actually works out perfectly because our weeks went a little long anyway.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. So this week we only had 2 places left. We had the final plateau, which is the area of the bear, whose name is now escaping me, but it's the youngest. Kumo, thank you. Yeah. It's the like youngest sibling.
Christian's favorite.
Yeah. Kuma's corner. Yes.
Kuma's. Okay, I'm sorry.
So it's the youngest sibling and the strongest sibling, and it is an Arctic bear. And the only thing I wanted it to be, even though I know what this bear is going to look like, the only thing I wanted it to look like is, we've all played WoW, and if you remember, like it starts with the B, the Borean Tundra, and there was a spirit bear you could get as a hunter. That's all I wanted him to look like. He doesn't, which is very.
He has a weird tail that bears don't have.
They all have that tail.
All those monsters.
If you paid attention, they all have that.
I know.
Tail.
So let's actually just briefly here. So this is a complete like side note and derailment from this story. All of the tall ones have that tail, which for those of you not playing this game, essentially they're like normal animals. They're bear and lizard and so on, but the tail is like, it is like an axe, like you said, like a scythe. It's rounded at the end. It looks like a little blade. I don't know why.
They look like a crescent moon as well. Like
yeah, that's a great way to put it. It's a crescent moon on the tail, right? The weird thing about that is. So in Atlanta in September, it's like kind of our rainy season, even though it's like always rainy season here. I was outside and I'm walking around super early in the morning, and I don't even know how I do this, but I look down in the grass and I see this black thing that's like, I don't know, like maybe like 6 inches long, not as long as a snake, although it could be a baby snake, but like longer than like an earthworm. But it was jet black, and it had that head. Like, it had that crescent moon-shaped head. And I'm like, this is the thing of nightmares. What in the world is this? So I Googled it, and apparently in the South, in many places in the U.S., but especially here in the South, we have an invasive worm. And this invasive worm eats bugs and other worms, which is really, really weird. And it's called like the hammerhead worm. And it is just straight jet black with that hammerhead. And if you kill it by cutting it up, it will just grow 2 hammerheads, and now you have 2 worms. So the only way to kill it,
Burn it.
and the way they suggest kill, also, it is poisonous. So it will not hurt you as a human, right? Like, it's just sticky, and maybe you'll have some skin irritation. But, like, say a dog were to ingest it, it'll make them sick. If anything smaller ingests, say, a mouse, it'll kill a mouse. Like, it's poisonous. So it's just, like, the worst thing ever. And I guess because it had been raining so much, it had come up from the ground, and I just happened to see it. Anyway, the only way to really kill it is, like, not touch it, put it in boiling water, and you kill it in boiling water. And they do say, like, online, like, if you see these, please kill them because they're invasive. Like, please just kill them. It's the only time Allie is, like, okay with me killing creatures. So, anyway, long story short, every time
So I take every chance I can get.
Yeah. That's how I get it out of my system.
Yeah. But anytime I saw those tall ones, like, that's where I go back to it. I'm just like, ugh. Like, I just get, like, chills. Like, every time I see these
You look at
things
the
with their
bear and
tails,
you're like, I'm going to boil you alive.
So that was a complete derailment. You know what's interesting? Also, last thing I'll say before we get back on track. This is the second place I've lived that has an invasive worm. Tampa also had one. Looked different, had to kill it the same way.
Well,
it was
the areas of the country in which your wife chooses to live have some of the most hellish, garbage, shit bugs that have ever roamed this earth.
Yeah.
And if it was up to me, I would cut a line down the country and send you floating away so that I don't have to deal with your bugs ever again.
You know the crazy thing? Like, half of the people in that state want to be separate anyway, so you think they would just want to, like, detach themselves.
I'd let you do it. Oh, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Bye. Have fun.
Yeah, we have had some hellish creatures. It's pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Because nobody should live here, so. Anyway, back on track. So, Kumo, we're essentially in the Borean tundra of the Pathless. The way they build this area is it's just a constant snowstorm, right? Now, here's my problem with the snowstorm. Actually, it's kind of my problem with a lot of the areas minus the first plateau, which is like the snowstorm and the fog do nothing to enhance the experience or hamper my progression, because past the first plateau, I play the entire game in that just like X-ray view to show me like all of the red things, right? So like when you do that Pathfinder's view with the mask, none of that stuff matters. Like, it all goes away. You can't even see the fog. It's not.
Yeah.
I spend so much time in that view that I come out of it and I go, oh, that's what this world's supposed to look like.
That's what this world looks like. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
the thing I hate about that storm is that it also obfuscates the regular storm that's coming at you all the time. Mm-hmm. And so it'll be like, you'll be going, you're like, oh, cool, I'm in the middle of a snowstorm. And then you see this, like, if you look long enough, you'll see, like, the red hue behind some of the clouds. And you're like, oh, motherfucker. Like,
it's funny you said, I finally had the experience that you guys had from last week where I got chased by a storm. So I was progressing counterclockwise like I do in this area. And I had all of the things that I needed to, like, light the towers. Like, I had all the sigils. Yeah. But I was like, I would really just like to get the rest of them and then go do all of this at one time, right? Because that's how my insane brain works.
Yeah.
Good catch. But I went around. I was on the mountain, and I was higher than the storm will go because I was on like one of the peaks on the mountain that has something there. and the storm's right here. I was like, I'm just gonna wait this thing out. So it starts to like it turns into this little tornado thing, and it starts to fade away and like move over. I'm like, sweet. So I hop on the Eagle and I start gliding, and it literally in the middle of it landed. And it immediately just and picked back up and came right back, which is where I need to go. I was like, oh, fuck you, video game. So I just like popped the Eagle up because I now, by this point in the game, I have 12 flaps.
Of course you do.
Which is insane. So I just went higher and I flew right back and I was like, well, this is dumb. So I gave it another like minute and it's like, okay, I'm doing his thing. And it started to leave again. I was like, great, I just need to go that way. And I started to do it and it just did the same thing. I was like, sure, I'll come back. I was like, video game. I was like, I just need right there. So I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna go around I'm just gonna go the other way. I'll go the long way around. And I got to the other side, and as soon as it left, like as soon as it was there for another minute, it left and came over to where I was. Yeah. I was like, let's just do this. That's fine. Like, let's just do it. But instead of fighting the storm, I just went to the towers and just put them all in. It was like, if you want to do it, let's just do this. Like,
clear you away.
Since we're talking about that area, I had it happen twice, and I seriously, I was like, God, I fucking hate this mechanic. It's so it serves nothing but to be annoying. Like so the first one was I made it to a building and I was like, yeah, eat my dick, go somewhere else. It literally just it stayed. I waited for 20 minutes and it just stayed
over you.
Yeah, it'll just wait around.
Yeah. And I was like,
consistent. It's not consistent, so I don't know what the AI is that controls.
And I was like, God, you piece of shit. And so then as soon as I walk outside, it's like, whoa, and fucking gets me. And then the second one was I had the last talismans that I needed. And I was like, fuck yeah, I'm heading to the fucking tower and I'm done. And I can see, it's like the music and the thing, and you can see it behind you. And I was like, this thing is going to fucking try one more time to piss me off. And as I'm getting up, I literally press the fucking stupid thing to the fucking blinds to yank me all the way up and go. Yeah. So I pull the string and it starts to head me halfway up. It goes, whoa, and just blows me and takes me in. I was like, go fuck yourself, video game.
Get you. Once, yeah, it'll take you.
I did it again, and I was like, oh, sick. And so then I was so done with that mechanic. I, literally when I finished it, to fucking, obviously we'll talk about the boss fight in a second, but once I finished the area, the spirit that ends up we already said it's a bear. The bear is like, hey, okay, I'm leaving, and it's like, come, you can keep going if you want, a little thing. And I turned around and went the way that I was supposed to go before the pillar even finished coming out of the ground all the way. It was going up on it, and I was already like, don't care. And I literally was like, turn, I'm going the way I'm supposed to go. Fuck you. I was so done with being in that, the thing. Yeah, if you want, before we get into the boss fight, Preston, if you want to go about your experiences of the area.
I actually really like this area. I like the change of the template. You got the snow. The storm was kind of whatever. Like you said, you put a visor on, you're just fine. Just go that direction. My favorite part was the dinosaur skeleton that's at the very top of this ledge. I took a screenshot of it and everything, so I just thought it was super fucking rad looking. I did all the little puzzles that I went through to do, a lot of the fire ones like that. So I had a good time with this level. I did the layout a little bit more as far as it being a mountainous valley kind of deal rather than just a plain or a steppe. So I really did like this area. I had a lot of fun time with it. Nothing.
It was definitely more vertical, right, than the others.
Oh yeah.
And to your point, Preston. So again, if we go back to the lore that we talked about last week. There are more skeletons around this area, which makes sense because the bear was too strong for the other ones. So the Eagle Mother
made it go into isolation.
Grew
almost.
creatures bigger than they should have been for him, right? So that was a cool touch. So let's talk about. Also, I'll just say this: I now remember why I 100%ed the first couple areas when I was playing this game, because naturally, doing each area. By the time I got to this point, like I said, I had 12 flaps. Nothing bothered me. Even when the storm popped up, because it was so vertical, I would be on a mountain over here, and I would just like fly towards it. And if I got anywhere close to that stupid storm, I was just like bop 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 bop, and just went right over it. It was insane how high that I got, to the point where at the end of the game, before you go to the final area, you kind of get up to those ruins, and you're supposed to shoot your way up the path in the mountain that like gives you the momentum to go up. I just got to the bottom, just like flapped straight up, and we're just like, yep, I have a super flap that you hold down, and it shot you like out of my 12, it would take 10, and then I just went like, or take 9. I just went 1, 2, 3, and I was like, cool, this is fine. This is why I do this. So let's talk about this boss fight. So it has the typical mechanic. You chase, then you have the fight that has a couple of phases. Now there was one difference to this chase scene, which was you now have 6 legs instead of 4.
Man, let me tell you, when I saw the leg count and I saw 6, I went, oh, God. And I was just like, it's so, like, because it's 4 on each side. No, I think it was more. I think it's 4 on each side. I think it's 8.
Is it 8?
I think the last one
8.
had 6. I think this one had 8.
I thought it was 6.
Yeah.
6 was the last one.
No, I think 6 was the last one. I think this one has 4 on each side. I'm almost positive it does.
I can't remember. This boss battle to me was just a lot more simpler than the others, and I just cruised right through it. I can't remember half the shit.
I saw 4 and I was just like, God damn it. I was like, all right, whatever. Same situation as always. I fucking fly in and I'm like, I don't know why I tried it, because I knew the game was going to not let me do it anyway, but you start to fly down. I'm starting to get on top of it. You can tell the game is like, no. And so he just fucking rubber bands, pedal to the metal, fucking flies
Mine did a little different. I tried to do what you did. I'm like, okay, let me do this what Christian does. So I did it. And I'm like way up in the air, kind of getting towards it. So, you know, when you're doing this chasing, it's just the chase at first, and then the more you hit it, the more it starts doing different things, like throwing rocks at you, like that.
Yeah.
It immediately sniped me with a rock in the sky. It's like, what are you doing up there? It's like, no, you don't belong up there. It's like, boom. I'm like, what the fuck? And it just took me out like of the midair, like the very beginning of the whole entire chase. It was
I've never had it. That's so.
It's hilarious. I'm like, really? Okay, all right, guy. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
that is really funny.
Okay. But I fly down. He starts rubber banding and fucking flies forward. I'm like, all right. Once again, I had a moment. I was just like, just obey your own rules, video game. That's all I'm asking you. And it's like, I was about halfway through my, speedometer, and I'm getting ready to shoot this, the little boost thing to get more. The boost, by the way, is in front of him. So I'm already targeting something past him. I shoot, and he runs forward, and the arrow hits him somewhere in his ass. So it blocks me from shooting the thing that was in front of him to begin with, but won't let me shoot one of his fucking legs. And I'm like, bro, just let me play the game. Stop getting in my way. It was just so... But yeah, so you do that, and then there's the, do 4 on each side. He gets there, and then his fight, and the Eagle Mother, whatever, is like, he's gonna be strong, by the way, so just be aware, he's gonna be hard. And you go through the fight, and it's like Preston said, it was super easy. The only thing that sucks is that just like every other fight, they're all their boss fights is if you get clipped, it's like, oh, okay, everything that you did is reset, so it doesn't matter. You any damage that you've done is he'll start over from the beginning. So if he does a full combo and then you get clipped at the last hit, it's like, okay, everything you just did doesn't count anymore. You have to start over again, which I hate.
So this,
I hate
so
that
this fight, the second and third phase of this one, I guess, is because he has more legs. He gets up on the wall in the arena. So you're kind of in that Coliseum type arena again. It's kind of like the second fight. And he jumps up, and you kind of have to target him so that you have to hit him, I think, 3 times. And then when you hit him 3 times, he falls off of the wall. Yeah. And then you have a couple mechanics, which is like his goofy hands that do things. Yeah. And you just have to just like the Hydra head. They kind of combine a few, right? Like Hydra head, yeah. You shoot his hands instead, and that's what it is. Preston, to your point, and I'm coming to you in just a second. I thought this one was easier.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think of this fight? What made this easier for you?
So including the storm stuff, because like if you get caught in the storm, like the Hydra one was just more difficult. The Hydra one had multiple heads looking around. This one has one head now again. I'm like, okay, so we're back to this. A little bit simpler, getting out of the storm. And then you go into here, it's like, okay, well, this one's not doing as much to me as the other one did last time. I just feel like the sequence of these two monsters should have been a little bit different. This is supposed to be the one that like they made the other ones bigger because this one was so powerful. I didn't feel it as much. Now I will say this is the first time through all these basketballs that I get pushed off the rink. So like this is the first time like
oh yeah, okay.
So instead of dying, they just push you off the rink. Okay, I get it now. So this is why there's no death. That's the first time it's ever happened to me in this entire game. So
you have to you essentially do the same thing with the tower. You step on the rope and it just zip lines
brings you back up there.
Top.
Yeah. And then the last battle did the same thing to me. But yeah, that's the first time it happened. So getting back up there, you kind of do it over, rinse or repeat again, and I just tend to go through this one a little bit faster than the other ones. Maybe it's because I'm just used to the boss battle and like the routine now.
Yeah, I agree. Like it was something about the routine of bringing everything together. They missed the mark on this one of toughness. You built it up to be the toughest. It wasn't the toughest boss battle. I agree. The Hydra was harder. And they it's almost like, oh, well, this one's more nimble. It can jump on the wall. And you're like, yeah, but that doesn't make it harder. It just means I have to aim higher. Like, it actually made it
auto
easier.
tracks aiming, so it's not like I actually have to aim. It's just have to make sure to press the fucking button. Look.
Yeah, and it's not even doing any attacks up there. It's just like, oh, can't hit
some
me
shit
up here, can
yeah,
ya? And I'm just like,
yeah.
no, I can, though. I can hit you from up there.
It's not hard.
And I'm gonna.
You're not making it hard.
So I agree. Like, I like the area more, but I was more let down by the boss battle. And if I had to rank these so far, just by like, if I had to rank them personally, and if I took like difficulty into consideration and aesthetic and the area, my favorite is the second fight where you're in the wall running down the corridors.
Yes.
Then would be the Hydra. Then would probably be the first one because it's like the first like hard one you do, and this would actually be last because by this point, like, super strong, I know all your tricks, and you didn't do anything to surprise me, and it was kind of a letdown.
The Hydra even takes your eagle away from you. This one doesn't do anything like that.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything like that, right? So this fight was pretty easy, and I assume it probably allowed you to move through this area pretty quickly. Just because like, you know, it was super simple. So the same thing with this one. He turns to the bear. If you 100% the area, you chase him down. You do. I know you guys didn't do this, and I did it for all of them, which is like do the chase at the end. And I know, Christian, you probably would be irritated because it's just like the fight chase, but you're not fighting. You're literally just running with it. And I'm confused on the reason. Like, I feel like it's a tour of the area. I
think it's supposed to be you frolicking with the spirit in the area, and it's just supposed to be like a
but it takes you like a whole way. It's long, like it's not short, right? And it's like a tour through the whole area, which would be fine, except for the fact you've already made me take a tour to get all the sigils. And if I did it after lighting the beacons, like say I just min-maxed the beacons, so I got 6, beat the boss, I'm even doing this area in like a pretty environment, like all the storm and evil's gone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just a little confused on like the purpose of the tour with the spirit beast, because like you've already made me do it, so why do it again?
I think they probably mean it as like it's like you saying bye to that area, right? Like, look at everywhere that you've been. I think the better way to do it would have been, if you really want to do that, right? The better way to do it would be to not make it so that I am in control. So make it so like that I'm riding the animal, or the animal's like taking me with it, and then I go through. And then you can have it go as fast as you want, and then it's like a fast forward through the zone. You're like, oh, right, cool, this is everything.
Enjoying. Yeah.
And then it sort of like kicks you up into the next area to signify like, hey, you're done. It's over. There's nothing else here for you, kind of thing. And you can do that.
I have a second suggestion. I like that suggestion. That's a good one. That would have been a good way to handle it. The suggestion I had that I thought about is because you get an extra ability if you've 100% of this area, if you made that a trial, right? Like it's maybe I don't always have to chase, but like I had to earn that ability by showing like I've mastered this zone, And to prove it, my reward is the ability, right? And I had to do this for that. And that would have been another way to handle it. At least it would have made those extra abilities like feel like I know, like I'm more powerful going into it because I proved my might, right?
What was the extra ability you get for the bear?
Wonderful question. I'll have to look it up. I don't recall.
Doesn't even know. That's how cool it was.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Like the first one gives you
recharging the stamina.
Recharge the stamina.
That's the only one I remember because there's so many fucking times. I would have loved to have that in some dungeons.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Sitting there fucking walking around like.
The second one gives you. The second one gives you the faster flight.
Okay.
The third one does something with your bow, or maybe that's vice versa. Maybe the second one does something with your bow. The third one gives you faster flight.
Faster loading the bow or whatever. Yeah.
I don't recall what the fourth one gave you. But it
doesn't matter. You don't get to use it because
I was gonna say that's the thing, and you don't get to use it, right? Because of the very next thing, the very next area we go into is the boss area.
Unless you do what I did, and you get to do something else more fun. Do you want me to say that before we get to it?
Yes.
Well, let's first talk about getting to that section first.
Well, let me go back one actually because I forgot we left off here. So there was one thing at the beginning of this zone that Christian and I saw last week that Preston did not because he stopped. Right?
Oh, sure.
As soon as you come into the zone, you essentially, again, get whipped up on by the God Killer, right? The God Slayer, and
they make you fight him. Why? You can't do anything.
You mean like there at that moment? I know.
Yeah,
I know.
It's like just give me a cutscene. Show me get my ass kicked rather than actually having me do it and give me some hope.
Yes, I agree. He essentially gives you the lore dump that I gave us all last week.
Yeah.
Right. Like
he
lays out,
yes.
Yeah. He lays out
much better.
Thank you, because I had all the extra lore of finding stuff that added into it, but that's what it is. So yes. Anyway, Preston, what did you do before? Because the final area, when you complete this, you look up and you see this like essentially like ancient Rome ruins, like going up Mount Olympus over there, and then you have the floating volcano island in the sky. So what'd you do?
I'll kind of explain this little area for you. So this is kind of like a very end of journey-esque. You're going up, you finish the area, now you got all these like speed boosts, these like those jumping boost squares, and you're just tearing ass to get up there, right? So you get all up to the very top of this like kind of like area that has this like god ray essentially that you would use to fly up to the area, right? So I get up to the very top, but I don't like grab my eagle at the very last minute to like glide into there. I just kind of jump and get pushed into there. So I don't know that you're supposed to be on the eagle and fly up. So what happens to me
just fly
is
all the way to the beginning?
I'm doing platforming, taking those little like crumbly steps, and I'm just following that. Like, okay, well maybe I'm supposed to do something here and go all the way to the end. I get to the very end, I'm like, there's nothing here to get me to the top. Well, maybe I jump towards this thing in the middle of the sky. So I do that. Do you know what happens?
Did you float all the way to the
You just hit the thing and stop. So you fall all the way down, and there's no checkpointing, there's no fast travel in this game.
No.
So I'm down at the previous level, and I have to float my ass all the way to the other section, which luckily you're very high up, so you can float yourself, but I drop and hit the mountainside. I'm like, all right, so there's no way of me getting back up here other than going all the way back to the way we got up there the first time where you get your ass pushed in by the boss. So I have to go all the way back there, go up, and then go all the way through that last level again to get to that section. And boy, howdy, I was not happy when that happened. I'm like, motherfucker. I exited the game to see if I could like pull like an old checkpoint or something like that. Like, no, it saved right when I landed. Great, cool.
I would have pressed start and I would have went down to quit to desktop, and then I would have looked it up and said like, well, that was that, and then I would have uninstalled the game. I'd have been done.
I also bring up the B-roll, so I wanted to get the B-roll, but also I wanted to. We were right there. I just like take me fucking. I think it took me 15, maybe getting closer to 20 minutes to get back to where we were. It wasn't fast.
Especially not to harp and not to make fun of or anything.
Any of the
especially
upgrades.
Because like you guys didn't have any of the upgrades, right? So it made all of that way longer.
Yeah, we only got 4 fucking flaps like some poor people.
I had like 5 or 6 by the end of that time. I did do some other small side like to get goldies, but yeah.
Yeah, but you get one taken from you in that beginning section.
Yeah.
What's crazy is I had 12 and I looked it up. I go, what's the max flap here? Like, there's no trophy for it, so it doesn't really matter. But I was like, what is the max flap? And there's no real answer. Like, some people online were like, by the end of my playthrough, I had 19. Some people were like, I have 14. I think, and it was like, how much shit is hidden in this game? Like, I found everything I felt like I could find, and I was at 12, 13 if you count the one that's taken away. Like, that's crazy.
Too much.
So anyway, so the good thing. And I'll be honest, I'm really happy this is how the end was, because I was really worried Christian was going to give up on it, and I did not want him to give up on this game. So I beat it first, and I said, hey, everybody, the last area is a normal area, but just know the final area is just the boss, which was my, like, please stick with it till the end, because I promise it's not as much. So in the... Or we're gonna add.
No, the other thing is, so it's kind of the boss, because you still have the whole run up sequence of what happens.
Yeah, but that wasn't bad. So to your point, so you come up to the top of the area, and again, like, the Godslayer is like running his yappity yap, and he takes the Eagle Mother, or the reincarnation of the Eagle Mother, and essentially poisons her, corrupts her. That's the word I'm looking for. And
the way he does all the other tall ones.
Yeah, and she now turns into another one of the monsters we've been fighting, right? So it's like this two-headed phoenix
thing
that's flying around that looks very cool. But he uses it to protect where he actually is, which is the center of this like old ruin where, you know, her nest must have been when she was the Eagle Mother. And he's doing a ritual, and he's trying to complete the ritual. We don't know what the ritual does, other than like it makes him powerful enough to kill the gods, I guess. But like, it's just insert bland ritual. And I actually kind of enjoyed this part. It was different. It wasn't, and I don't know, I'm interested to see what happened with you guys. For me, it was not as tedious as the search and find things when you're trying to get to the eagle, right? When you're in the storm. Because what you're doing is you're running from rock to rock as the phoenix is flying around the tower, and when it's behind the tower, you're free to run. When it comes back around, you need to be behind a rock, because if you're not in the shadow, she's going to like swoop down and kick you backwards. I did that whole area without getting hit. So for me, it was very quick, and it was straight up. So I wanted to know what it was like with you.
I made it the whole zone without getting hit up until the end, and I was positive that it was a forced hit, because so you can actually run out the second that she comes around the tower and she turns like just enough sideways. You can actually start running that she won't hit you. Yeah. So I was at the last rock. And it's like go forward and go over the crest of the hill so that you can slide down and do your thing, right? So I left, but it's a lot larger distance than you've covered previously up until that point. And so I was like, I'm gonna need to go like right when she comes around the corner so that I have enough time for her to fly around back, and then come back. And so I did. I left right when she turned, and she still came around the corner and smacked me. And I got knocked back, and then I had to keep walking forward to slide down the hill.
That is, just so you know, that is a forced hit. So you did not do anything wrong in that one.
Okay, that's annoying. The guy was like, feel good, man. I was like, because it sends the wrong message to the player. Like,
yeah,
because I'm like, well, what the fuck was I supposed to do? Like, I literally,
eat it, nerd.
It's like, yeah, and that's the answer. And then. But yeah, okay. Well, at least I know it was a fucking forced hit.
You know it was a forced hit. But I mean, clearly I got it too. But you know it was a forced hit because unlike the others, when she hits you, she takes you back like an entire rock. And this one it doesn't. It just knocks you back a little bit, and you still are able to like.
Oh, I'd have been fucking pissed. Oh.
So you didn't get hit other than that. Preston, did you get hit other than that?
Yeah. There's like one or two times where like I'm almost to that shadow. I just didn't start it early enough. Yeah. It's fine.
It'll knock you like all the way back. Yeah, it's like the hallway thing.
Yeah.
It sure fucking does.
And if you don't, what's unfortunate, just like the hallway in the second boss battle, if you don't commit to one of those two rocks and make it back in time, she'll just keep bumping you back. Like if you don't make it back to the shadow in time.
No. Absolutely not. No. Canceled.
Yeah, yep.
So that okay. So when we get there, we get to the bottom. Oh, hello, miss.
I heard that one.
Yeah.
I know. So when we get there, we then engage in the final boss fight, which let's take this in phases. So the first, just 2 phases here that I want to talk about. But the first phase is the initial fight with the Godslayer and the Phoenix, and essentially you're in this like big arena on top of the tower, and he's floating and flying around using that sword of light, and his attacks are kind of interesting. So he can slam it down and shoot lightning at you like across the ground where you need to move left or right, or he sends swipes that you need to jump over and dodge. And then to end it all off, he will like occasionally, as the fight gets further along, the eagle or the Phoenix will swoop down as well, right? So you kind of have 3 things to look at. So before I get my thoughts, I want to hear like what were your general thoughts of this fight?
I thought it was fine. I liked some of the story beats that it kind of gives you here and there, but the first part with the swoop down, it's fine. It's okay. Nothing super crazy. I didn't like super enjoy it. I didn't super hate it. It was just very middling for me, especially the first part of this.
You're muted, Alex.
How long did it take you guys? Because again, like, not my first playthrough, I didn't get hit once. So for me, like, I look at it through rose. I think I looked through this whole game through rose-tinted glasses because, like, I know little secrets. I've done these boss battles, so it didn't take me as long. So going through it the first time, I know it can be frustrating. How long did it take you all for the fight? Because me, it was pretty quick.
So it was pretty quick. I only got hit by the Phoenix once, and it was because I was running at an angle. I had basically ran from him, and I was running from some of his moves, and it put me really close to the edge that the Phoenix just happened to spawn at. Mm-hmm. And so I was so close that I couldn't dodge left or right enough to not be in the hitbox. And so she smoked me on that first hit. I was like, okay, cool. I won't be near an edge anymore. Like, I'll just always stay near the middle.
Once you kind of got the pattern for it and kind of knew what to see, like, it was fine.
Yeah, but other than that was fine. Honestly, my only annoyance came in the next part of the fight.
Okay.
Where there's a beam attack that I tried everything.
We'll
kept
talk about
fucking hit, and it was...
We'll talk about that in a second. So, I, again, kind of like pressing your last fight, like in this one, I was a little let down by the Godslayer as well in the first phase because he was difficult the last time I fought him because I was newer to the game. This time, like, you're right. You get hit. Maybe you get hit once, and then you learn pretty quickly. Okay, it's jump 3 times, easy.
Yeah.
And then dodge left or right for the lightning. That's it. And then even when the eagle comes, jump, dodge left or right. And then when the eagle starts to run,
just run in a direction. You're fine.
Just run left or right.
Yeah. Even when
once you get it's like 3 jumps and a left right. It's pretty like rinse and repeat. And that's where I got a little disappointed, which was like, A, I wish this would have been more in general, but B, if you're going, but B, if you're gonna make it that simple, then just make me hit him 3 times. Like, let's get to the second phase. Don't make me hit him. I think we had to hit him like 6 or 7 times. Like, don't make me do that. Like, just do like 3, right? Because like this is not the pinnacle of this fight. This fight was rinse and repeat, just like the other bosses. And then what happens is he gets all angry and like, oh, you know, he's stronger than
my ascension is complete.
Yeah, he's like, you're stronger. Essentially, like, you're stronger than I thought, but it doesn't matter, dork, because I did this whole ritual now and I'm ascended. And the Godslayer essentially sheds his little skin and turns into like straight up
an enemy from Doom.
Thank you. He turns into Diablo, the huge, like, from the 2016 Doom, when you're on top of the skyscraper, literally.
You're thinking of Doom Eternal.
Or was it Doom Eternal? Okay.
Yeah.
Because we always wanted to get in the mech to fight him, we never did.
Yeah.
Doom Eternal, where you're on the skyscraper and
we sure
fighting. We sure did not. You only teased it for one half of the entire game. Literally, that's what you fight, which was dope. The character design was incredible.
Yeah.
Was cool. Very different than the rest of the game, which then created this weird dichotomy of like, wow, you look so cool. Why did I not see more of that other places? Which was a little frustrating.
Yeah.
And then the fight itself, he has 3 eyes, and he essentially uses his hand to kind of slam around, and he uses a beam attack, and you essentially focus on so the 3 eyes represents the 3 hits needed in this fight, but it's not like a single hit. For the listeners out there, each eye takes 10 maybe arrow hits.
Sometimes it can vary. There's one. The first one only takes 4. The second one takes 8, and then the last one.
Is that what it was?
I think the last one is like 4 hits on each sigil that pop up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
no, I'm thinking the middle. Sorry, I'm thinking when you yeah.
So keep in mind, each eye you have to break, right?
Yeah.
Which takes a minute to break. So you actually have to hit it like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times to break the eye itself. And then when you break it,
then
he goes into a super attack, and the 4 tall sigils show up, and you have to quickly shoot them in succession, which is a very simple, again, like it's another mechanic that exists, but I don't understand the purpose because it goes same pattern every time, and it's the same speed every time. So I'm just like, I don't understand the purpose. But then you hit the eye, you go to the next one, you shoot the next eye 7, 8, 9, 10 times, you break it, sigils again, and then the third one, rinse and repeat, except this time you don't shoot the sigils once, like you said, Christian. I think you have to shoot it like 2 or 3 times, right? Like you shoot it a bunch of times. So, general thoughts from both of you. I just want to know, like, what was your final opinion of the end of this fight? Like the design, the mechanics. Tell me about your ray, your eye beam, Christian.
I tried jumping through, like on the side. I tried running, like I did the eagle. It clipped me every single time, and it hit me, and I was like, whatever, fuck you, I don't care. Like I was happy that hit was not resetting the boss fight, because I would have lost my fucking mind. But I don't know what I could have done differently. I was pressing the buttons, I'm doing what I was supposed to do. I just kept getting clipped. I was like, whatever.
I'll tell you what I think it is. Because I only got clipped once, and that was it. And same thing, I tried to jump it, and I tried to like hover it. What I found worked was distance. So I think it's a close,
that's why I didn't
far away distance. Yeah. As long as you're far enough back, you don't have to jump. You don't do anything.
Walk one way or another. Yeah, one direction. You're fine.
And you're far enough back, and it just misses you.
I always stayed like sort of in the middle of the arena, so maybe that's.
I was always 3/4 back.
Same with Preston. Like I was.
There's enough distance for me to deal with whatever he throws at me to give me enough time to react to it. Yeah.
Yep.
The only thing I didn't like was, I forgot to mention this, the second form to where he does like his swing, and I've had this same issue with a boss in El Paso Elsewhere, is that he does this twirl around swing, but then he has one little extra like kind of thing at the very end of it, and every fucking time that last little piece barely clips me at the very end. I'm like, I was jumping over it, I dodged it, I do whatever I need to do, but that little extra bit, he always ended up like giving it to me. So, but other than that, no, the very ending part of it, I thought the design was rad. I'm always a big fan of those like half arena battles. It looks, something like God of War, something like Doom, something like The Force Unleashed 2, where you're facing that one thing in the Coliseum. It's just I usually end up liking those like big, giant, larger than life battles.
Yeah, I thought the fight itself was cool. Fine. It was there's a middle part that we haven't talked about, and I don't know how you guys felt about it. That's how I felt about it.
The finding
right before he switches to being the big massive one. There's like because
I forgot. That's why I played it a week ago, and I forgot.
You hear the Phoenix, and
you go into the spirit realm essentially.
And so you cover it as he's like, I'm the big man now. I'm gonna smash you. And then time stops, and you cover, and then you're in the spirit realm, and you're running around, and she's basically.
I'm sorry, everybody. Yeah, I completely, because I played it a week ago, I completely forgot about this part.
It's okay, but so she takes you through the 4 main events of the story, where she was like, you were so young and little once, and now you are so strong and cool. I literally was like, as she's going through all the parts, I literally was like, let's go already. Like I was
because you're like 12 hours has passed.
The pace.
Like I've literally been on this island for 12 hours.
Yeah, like I'm like, I know. Like I just played this. This game's not that long. I know what I get it. Like it's not like you're summarizing a 60-hour journey. Like I was here 3 hours ago. Like I get it. And so then you do the thing, and then she's like calling out to you, and you're like, "Oh, I'm coming," and you run over there, and then she's like, "Thanks for, you're cool, we're good," and then she explodes and then blows his hand back, and then that's when the fight kicks off. So I thought that part.
So opposite of what Preston said, which is you're a huge fan of the half boss battles. This mechanic is nothing new. I've experienced those in Assassin's Creed. I experienced those, I think, in the first Star Wars game when Cal has to like find the Force and stuff. Like there's there's a bunch of games that do this where they transport you to a foggy ass world where it's not there, and you run around from point to point as they tell you a story. I am never a fan of these because it's just a way to slow down for slowing down purposes, and rarely do you get lore that you don't already know or do something that you haven't already experienced. And it's not the first time you've ever experienced this in a game. It sucks every time.
For me, that is the story for most of this game for me, is tedium for tedium's sake. So when I'm sitting there, when she's going through that whole rigmarole, I'm just like, I get it. I do. You can just let me find you now. Then let's kill this guy. And then the end, I thought, so his form is cool. The fight is fine. You kill him. And then
his form is super cool. The fight was
he starts to crumble away, and she starts doing her, I'm going to banish you to the Shadow Realm thing. And the whole game, Troy Baker has been sitting here yucking it up, being like, "Oh, I'm so cool and strong, and you are so stupid and little. Get out of my face." Like he basically has zero time for anything you have to say. And then as soon as he loses, she's like, "See you later, dork." And he's like, but don't do this, because if you do this, then no one will know the path. And you're like, it's a little late for fucking crying now, dickhead. Like, it's far too late for that. You smashed my bow. You took away one of my jumps. You beat the shit out of all these different animals. I don't give a shit. Even if you were right, like, even if everything you were saying is right, up until now, you've been nothing but a complete dickbag. This whole, like, no, fuck off. Die. Immediately die. And then you get the benefit of her being like, yeah, but that's not the point, idiot. There's not, like, one way to do things, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh. And then just gets blown away, and you're like, word, nothing to say to that one, huh? Like, you just, okay, cool, I'm glad you just take the message and go to hell. Like, that's literally...
It's another trope that I don't love, which is, and we've seen this in how many times in games to comic book movies and stuff, like Infinity War, which is you have that one tyrant that's trying to control the path of everyone, the destiny of everyone, and they're like, better. Oh, that you can't, for the better, you can't leave people to their own devices because the people are they'll never find their way and they'll crumble amongst their own power and so on. They need
me to make the decision for them.
And the answer is always, but that's the beauty of people. People need to find their own way, and they're imperfect creatures. And, like, that's what this was. And it was just like, okay. I guess, I get it. We all have to create our own path. We don't have a predestined path. We're called the Pathless. Like, okay.
It's the title. Thank you.
Yeah, I've seen it. I know. I could have like given you this speech if you wanted me to. Like, you didn't have to tell me. I just
thought it was so funny that he starts fucking crying towards the end. I'm like, bro, shut up. Like not
nobody
only that,
cares.
but like, now I will say it would have at least made a little bit more sense if I had gotten the information that you gave me, Alex, through the game. Like, if I had seen all this, I had seen his struggle. I had seen his turmoil of back and forth of trying to be one of the, devout people, and then he realizes the whole thing. And then he went to
prison for his beliefs, and people broke him out. Like the
exactly. Like, if I saw all that, then I understand him at the end, be like, you don't fucking get it, you asshole. Like, I'm trying to do this for you, and then he explains. That makes sense. But you don't get that in the game. What you get in the game is him being like, just giving you a middle finger every single time he can. And then at the end, he's like, but wait, please don't. And you're like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, I'm killing you just to kill you. And that's like, That's it. I don't even give a shit if I'm right or wrong. I'm just killing you because you deserve it at this point.
Yeah. So let's go there, Preston. Overall,
Yeah.
what would you rate? I still have one more question, right? And I said I led into this when we first started around like the purpose of this game and so on. So we'll get to that in a second. But overall, where would you rank the game on whatever scale you want to use? We should just do out of 1 to 12 flaps. Where would you rate this game? And
out
then
1 to 10 teddy barks. How many teddy barks do you give it?
And then just your general thoughts.
So going into this, I was super excited about playing this. I still did enjoy the game. It's not a bad game. But I love the look of the movement and the motion of this game. I'm a big Austin Wintory stan, so I was ready for a great bombastic score, which it was. Phenomenal score all the way through. Love that fucking shit. Great. Phenomenal.
Soundtrack was good.
And then start getting through it. A little bit repetitive. I know this game came out on consoles and stuff like that, but it definitely felt like it was more adhered towards putting it towards a mobile platform, which maybe it had that idea. It's like, oh, mobile, but also we'll put it on consoles as well. So it did feel that a little bit more of a rinse and repeat here and there, more than I would have liked. But the traversal, everything like that felt great. Even though I didn't get all the power-ups, the traversal and movement still felt really a lot of fun. Especially once you're in that last area and you got those couple of the upgrades to where it's like, the automatic jump up boosts and like the little bit faster spots there here and there. Loved it. Enjoyable. The little bit of lore I did get out of there, I did like. If I spent a little bit more time, maybe I would have liked a little bit more, but I had Alex to fill me on the story, so that's all I really needed. And then, it's overall, I would say I'd give it just a good 2.5, 3 out of 5. 2.5 to a 3 out of 5, as far as, like, it is a fine game. It has its own troubles, but it's not a bad game. I wouldn't say this is a great game, but I did enjoy it overall. It's not bad. It's not great. It's a fine game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Christian, what about you?
Yeah, so I
garbage trash.
Did you break this game?
No.
You break every game. Did you somehow break this game?
No, I mean unless you count me not getting yanked out by a storm and it very clearly wanted to yank me out, or getting yanked out in the middle of a dungeon and it just like pulling me through a roof, and I guess maybe that's not supposed to happen. So I don't know. Take that how you want it, but other than that, no. Yeah, I agree with Preston on like some of the design stuff. I think my biggest problem with this game was, first of all, I do not think it's trash. It is, Preston said it best, it is a fine game. Like, fine as in it is just, to me it is like, it's not, I don't think it's good or great, but I also don't find it offensive. Like, it is not, it's
if you
not
were playing
bad.
it, not a part of this, and a good game came out that you were super excited for, you would have probably put this game down to go play that game.
I would not have finished this game had it been. But then my point by saying that is because I feel like what I've said before across some of the other episodes is that every aspect of this game's design is either set to waste your time or get in the way of you playing it or drag out and be tedious for tedious sake. Even something as simple as how much experience you get off of finding some of the gold orbs not being as much as they should, just a little bit less. Just a little bit less than you want. It's like if somebody told me that it was like, yeah, but if you pay $3, you can get the full bar. I'd be like, oh, it makes sense that's what that is. Like that's how it feels. Mm-hmm. If I was I'd go on the full 10-point scale. I would probably go 6.2.
Okay, 6.2 flaps out of 10.
6.2 flaps out of 10. Which coincidentally is just under or just over what I had as total flaps anyway. So whatever. 6.2. I think it's like, again, it would probably be somewhere closer to the 5s if the soundtrack wasn't so good. And it'd just be very middle of the road. Like I said, it's an inoffensive game. Like it's just. There's so many aspects of it but my caveat to this is that I think it is it's an okay game, but it has all the makings of something that could have been great. If they would have done things just a little bit differently, if they would have included all the lore that Alex, you told us about and like showed it in some form or fashion,
yeah,
we could be having a completely different conversation, because some of that shit is cool as fuck. Especially even like if you would have explored the tall ones more, and if you had cut out a lot of the shitty side bloat and like just made more focused on the narrative and made it just like a straight shot forward through that you're just doing, and like, so we could be having a completely different conversation, because some of that stuff really could have worked. But
this is
where they did what they did. So
this is where our role as consultants could really have been helpful to the devs of this game. I have thought of so many ways to make this story better. Like we talked about last time, right? Like you could have done little visual cutscenes. You could have animated some of this stuff. No, the more I thought about it, the tall ones didn't always spend time in tall one form. Like many times they were human form, right? When we could have finished that area, and instead of doing a tour where we ran around with them as like the actual like spirit animal, they could have just shown up in their human form and given us a dialogue dump of everything that would have happened.
I mean, like hey, here's what happened before you got here. Yep.
Yeah, like that would have been equally as cool to do it, right? Like there's so many things you could have done. So I think we're all actually kind of aligned. Like, you know, even with Preston's your 2.5 and 3, that puts you right on the par with like 3 or 6. Yeah. I would say the same thing, right? 5, 6. I'm gonna go ahead and half my flaps, and we'll do 6 flaps worth. Okay. 50% of what I ended with. There is good. Like there's good in this game. The cutscenes look incredible. Like for the design they did, they look fantastic. The music is fantastic. The game's polished. It does what it set out to do really, really well. So there is a lot of good here. There's just a lot of, it's not bad. There's a lot of questionable decisions. Why did you add so many locations that didn't pay off for anything than experience? Why did you decide to do the lore in like individual skeletons and spirits that like you may not even find all of them because they're not easily apparent, right? Like even if you do all of the main areas that show up in red when you're in the spirit view, there are still things you will miss because they could just be like in the woods or in a field, right? So like the way you chose to do lore was a confusing decision in an open world game like this, because just the way you designed your game, like it's impossible to check every location. I don't have a map. I don't have something that shows me like what I've unlocked and what I haven't, or a trail. Like, so all of the good is marred by the confusing decisions, right? Even to the point of like, why did you hire Troy Baker to be a voice, or the what's her name, the girl that we were talking about last time,
Laura Bailey.
Laura Bailey. Why are they in this game? You could have used some money on something else.
Because they need the name to hopefully get somebody to buy it.
I know, and we talked about that, right? But like, there's just so many confusing decisions that took a game that could have been an 8 or a 7 and made it a 5, right? Now, with all of that being said, I, in retrospect, am down on this game more than going into it. And you're talking to somebody that played it before,
third or fourth
very
time,
hype on it. Yeah, third time.
You don't do that to a game you don't like.
Right. And I've now figured out why I liked it before, and it's the exact reason that you all have said, though it's not the intended purpose, which is the other 2 times I played this game was on my iPad. And this time I played this game was on the Steam Deck. And there is a different feeling, even if it's just mental, between like when I go into a game of what I expect on an experience of an iPad and what I expect on an experience of a Steam Deck. And the only thing the Steam Deck offered this time around was like really pretty graphics, but fuck, my iPad is really pretty graphics, right? For this game. So that's the thing. This game was not a mobile first game. This game was according to the devs, this game was a console first game, and it was already far into development when Apple reached out to get this game. So what happened is Apple was looking for a big console quality game to go along with Inmost, Sayonara Wild Hearts, and I think at the time that was it, right? And they had a couple, but nothing had like made a splash. So they're looking for something. They went to Annapurna and said, let us see your entire catalog. And they showed the entire catalog, and Apple said, hey, we like this game. It fits what we need, which is it's accessible for anyone to play. It's not, Christian, to your point, it's not like offensive, but it's also like an action-y open world game. And one of the problems I initially see with that statement is when you make something accessible to everyone from all age groups, you're not going to perfect for anyone. And I know that's like a weird statement to make, but like gaming is such a personal thing that you're trying to find. Every game has their own fans, right? People like Call of Duty. I don't like Call of Duty. People like sports games. I don't play sports games. I love JRPGs. People don't like JRPGs. Like, you like what you like. There's not a JRPG that fits those Call of Duty and Madden people. Like, it's just...
Right.
That's the beauty of gaming, right? And that's actually the beauty of... at the time, like, I guess Apple Arcade, if you want, or any of the streaming services, you have like 150 or 200 games on there, like Game Pass. Let people find what they like. It's the wrong choice to look for a game that fits everyone using your service. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what they saw in this one, and they took it. Beyond that story, it's actually kind of interesting for anybody that wants to go look it up, and you want to learn more about the inner workings of the secretive, the secret organization that is like Arcade and Apple. There was some more saying, like, they essentially said, we want this game. They said, great. They reached out to the devs. The devs said, great. And then they said, like, give us everything you have. Give us marketing material. Give us everything. And they're like, well, how are you going to be how are we going to be marketed on your store in this? And like, they told them nothing. Like, they had no idea it was going to be like this big launch title and it was going to be this big marketing blitz for the Pathless. They were just like, hey, we want your stuff. Give us everything you have. And we don't know how we're going to use it yet, but we'll figure it out, which whole nother conversation for another day, but actually kind of interesting when it comes to these services.
I think, so part of what you said, because you said this last week too about it not being a mobile first game, I think what I saw there was not that it was, I don't think I saw it being a mobile first. I know I said this last week too, but I think it's very clear that these devs, because they've all, and Annapurna in general keeps pulling them from other games, because their next game was Sky, right? And that was a mobile first. It was mobile intended. And I think it was them testing out those design choices, because Sky does the same thing, right? Like, when you run around there, like, you get just enough of something so that you will be like, oh, I kind of want to pay for that just to make my brain do the good brain juice thing, like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm sure it was partially them testing out to be like, hey, how much would this piss somebody off if we did this? And then, see whatever what they can get away with and things like that. I don't know. Yeah.
But like you said, it's not, and it doesn't feel like pay or anything. And I don't even feel like it doesn't even feel like they were trying to make you like, could we incorporate some sort of pay to play to keep people engaged? And that's what I mean when I say it wasn't designed in mobile first. But like you guys said, there are little things that don't translate to console because of the expected experience. So playing on iPad, it felt great because I'm like, well, the graphics look great compared to any other game I've ever played on iPad leading up to this point. I know it's on PlayStation, so like that's cool that I have this available on my iPad and stuff. So I think I was more forgiving at the time. But now when I put it on my Steam Deck, where I play Cyberpunk, where I've played Baldur's Gate, where I play Final Fantasy 14, Halo,
to put it against.
Yeah, the bar is different. So then when I play this game, I'm like, to what you said, I was like, this is tedious, even for somebody that knows what to do. And I got through it real quick. Like, there is tedium to this, and I'm just like, I would not have quit the game. I picked it. It's my book club game.
No,
with that being said, there was plenty of times where the conversation we have of what's worth it and what's not, like, I can move on to another game, so I feel like what I'm doing is not worth it. I felt that, and I think it is because it feels at home on mobile. It does not feel at home on a console.
And quick correction, Sky has nothing to do with Annapurna. Sky, the Children of Light game you're thinking about, Christian, nothing to do with Annapurna in this game.
It has nothing to do with Annapurna. I was saying, I know Annapurna is the publisher of this one. I just meant like some of the same people who worked on Journey worked on this game, and then those same people, different people who also worked on Journey worked on Sky.
Sure. Yeah, I just want to make sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
This company directly, Giant Squid, did not go on and do that, right?
Yeah, correct.
That's
Yeah,
what you're saying.
it was that game company
Yeah.
that did Sky.
There was people who left from that game company to do this one. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's just, there's just like little things in there that just feel like it's just testing the waters for that kind of thing. And then, like you were saying, out, like, I'm sure it is a different mindset. Like, I could totally see if I had this on my phone, I would be like, oh yeah, dude, this rules. This is cool. But like, it's just
because you pick it up and put it down, right? So you're not binging a play session. So the tedium doesn't feel as bad because it just happens in small chunks on mobile.
Yep. Yeah.
So anyway, I think we're all in agreement here, which as a whole, we've agreed on most of these games.
Average game, yeah.
I thought I was going to be way low. I should have went meaner. I should have said like 4.8.
I expected you to go meaner, to be fair. But I agree with everything you guys said. There was tedium to it, but it did look great. The soundtrack was great. It was super polished, but also like there were poor design choices when it comes to the way they deliver these things. Like, it was very, I think every positive had a negative, which to me makes it like a pretty even 5.
Levels it out, yeah.
Right?
That's why I landed at it being a little like at the 6.2 is because there's so much of the game that is well done.
Yeah.
Like the soundtrack,
the animation is fantastic. Like watching the God Killer like move around and eyes and stuff like that. Like, it was great motion capture.
Yeah, it's very polished. I had outside of the random yank me out of the middle of a building shit. Like in general, it's very solid. I didn't have any bug. Like it's very well made and all those things, right? So from that perspective, I was like, it's very well made. Mm-hmm. It's just I don't agree with a lot of the design choices, so that's gonna knock it down a little bit.
Sure.
I'm glad that I got it on sale and not at $40. I would have been pissed if I bought this for everybody. It's $40.
Man,
so
who you telling?
But $6 was okay.
Not bad at all.
So
worth that.
Right.
With that being said, next up is Preston. Preston, did you come prepared with what we're playing next?
Are you going to give us a sneak peek for what it's going to be a couple weeks from now?
Yes.
I know we're not starting next week.
No, not starting next week. So just to peel back the kimono, this will be the second part of our backlog for preparing for the holidays. So this will be after the reaction cast that we have for the VGAs. There'll be this, then there's some D&D, which we'll all have done within the week. So that way we can all do what we need to do for the holidays. Going into the beginning of January.
Still give good people some content to listen to.
Yeah, exactly.
So Jake, while you're doing your pulls all the way through Christmas, you have something to listen
First book club of 2024.
First book of 2024. It will also be after, once we do the top 10s personal and our actual testing room.
Yeah.
So the next game we're doing, give you a little tease. And you're going to you might want to do a little bit of homework. So there's going to be a little bit of homework on here. This is the tease. Who you gonna call, guys?
Is Ghostbusters.
Playing Ghostbusters, the video
one?
game. So I think this is a 2016. There's a remastered version that we will get to. I will be purchasing this as all for you guys as well and sending it to you. So let me know your platform of choice. But this is technically Ghostbusters 3. This is known as canon. This is what happens. Like, it's following Ghostbusters 1 and 2. There's a whole story to it. All the actors are here.
So our homework is watching 1 and 2.
Homework is watching 1 and 2.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah, Christian, if you want to make some movie date nights, we can do that with Alexa as well.
Yeah.
To watch Ghostbusters.
Allie told me recently she's only ever seen. She goes, I've only ever seen the one with the goo in the subway, and clearly she doesn't even know which one.
So
that
she hasn't
is.
seen the best one.
So we're gonna get to watch those. No, she has not seen Stay Puff. So we're gonna get to watch those then.
Yeah. So it's a great. I remember it being a great game. We'll see how it goes through when we play it again and see how you guys feel as well. But this is a spiritual sequel, and then
the only Ghostbusters thing I've seen is Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Oh, where Dan Aykroyd's in there. Yeah. So you're gonna call somebody else. He leaves.
I've seen clips of Ghostbusters throughout my life.
So you've never actually seen the movie?
Nope.
First one's phenomenal. Second one is, I think, all right and pretty good, but apparently the cast did not feel that same way as well. Got a little Hollywoody on them, but
I was gonna say apparently. Bill
Murray did not like it, but Bill Murray, he's on his own fucking planet.
I think he had some issues on set of that one too, because I
think everyone did, because Hollywood kind of took control of that movie a little bit.
That man cares about the Cubs and nothing else.
Yeah,
on his own planet. It's fine. But
cool.
Yeah,
all right.
get ready for that next year.
Yeah. Well, luckily we're not too far from that.
No, we're not.
Years flown by. So, all right, we are gonna make sure we have content for everybody out there. We have a packed month coming up.
D&D. We got
Game Awards this week. We're gonna drop a reaction to
game of the year.
Yeah,
we got D&D. We have some D&D to end off the year, and we do have like a 37-part game of the year to do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
We'll see how that goes when it happens.
It's gonna be hellish. Hellish.
Christian had to cut down his list from 18. I'm currently sitting at 13. Preston,
Same,
I think, was around 13 as well.
I think Thirsty Suitors is starting to creep in there. I'm like, you stay down there. Stay down there. Quit being so good. Stay down there. I don't need a 14.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a lot to talk about. But anyway, we will see you next time. This has been the last part of our Pathless book club, and with that, Preston, you know what to do.
Happy holidays, everyone. You see I got the tree up. Hail Santa.
I almost got that on a shirt. I almost got that on a Christmas
I love this.
sweater.
My favorite shirt. I've had it for like 10
work.
years.
I almost got that on an ugly Christmas
You know what the
sweater
best
and
part
took
of
it
this
to
shirt
my work
is?
meeting last week.
Is that for the past couple of years I was worried because it was getting a little too small on me. Then your boy lost some fucking weight by stop drinking,
good.
and this shirt fits
Hell
fucking
yeah.
awesome now. It's great. I put on like, man, it's gonna be small.
Looking-
Like, this fits so well now.
It's looking good.
Feels good. Feels good. All right, hit it.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Testing Room. To catch up on past episodes or check out the newest ones when they drop, follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. If watching is more your thing, check out youtube.com/TheTestingRoom or twitch.tv/TestingRoomPod. To leave comments and ask questions, follow us on Instagram @TestingRoomPod and email us at testingroompod@gmail.com. See you next time.